There's people here already. Supposed to be scheduled. I've done something wrong there, haven't I? Say hello if you can you hear me. Say hello, so I know the audio is working this time. 2020 vision. Good for you, man. Good for you. Appreciate that. It's not supposed to be live for another 2 minutes. Unsung hero, how are we doing? Hello. Who is? I'm never going to be able to say that. Just going from work, being one of those deemed essential by the government. So this is perfect timing. Dan Goody, good to see you, man. Good to see you. Good, good. So this is working this time, because if you were watching the last time, I didn't switch that. Hey, Ken, good to see you, man. I didn't select this microphone last time, so I was talking into this microphone, but it was just the laptop mic. So I was really annoyed. Heidi, hi, digital nomad, good to see you. Mark Pritchard's here. So, hey, it's good this, because I get used to the names, which is weird because I've got the worst memory for names. Even if I've met you, I won't remember your name. Terry Wagoner, is that? Whoa, why am I here? I don't know, mate. Robin Churn, good grief. There's a fair few jumping on board now. This is good. This is good. So we're not supposed to be live for another minute. I don't know why it's gone live. Apologies. I scheduled it for 7:30. I've been sat here with me glass of wine, waiting, chilling out. So Nikki Fox is here. How was my cabin fever? Good grief. Sore subject, Nikki. Sore subject. Yeah, first time today I've actually taken some pictures because I just got a bit nuts. But yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? It's a difficult one. What's happening in my garden? Mark's asking. We don't know. It's the truth. Gareth's dad is a builder and lives down the road, so he keeps turning up with ideas, sort of. And yeah, he's decided to rip my fence down. If you're wondering what he's talking about, if you check out my Instagram story, you'll see what's going on at the house. But yeah, the idea is to extend to the left of the house, so to the right of the house. But yeah, we don't know if it's even possible. It's just, if you look at the house, it's just got woods right next to my house, and it's a sheer 100-foot drop. So how on earth he's going to extend anything out there, I don't know. But we're having wine. Yeah, we're having wine, mate. Cheers. I needed it. If you guys are watching this and you sat there with no alcohol, no, well, even if you don't drink, just get a nice drink that you enjoy, and why not, innit? And if you watch my other video and it looked like I was sitting there with a double vodka or something, it wasn't. It was just water. Hey, Gary Hurst, good to see you, man, from Liverpool. So a long way to come. What wine we're drinking, Dan? I don't know, mate. It's Aldi special, though. I know that because everybody's watching every penny, aren't they? Says, but Aldi's wine, if you've got an Aldi nearby, their red Rioja is fantastic. So yeah, really like. I never wine. Yeah. SKSK, I'm back. Yeah, I'm back. So what time are we now? Just gone 7:30. So Mark Pritchard's on the wine as well. Good for you, man. Absolutely. Do you know what? I've gone off wine a little bit, but I needed it tonight because we had a nice dinner. Thought, open a bottle of wine and chill out. But I thought it was bad timing because I thought I'm not a very good drinker at all. So I thought by the time I've had half a bottle of that and then do this, it's going to make a difficult live, isn't it? Amal Desh, I'm going to apologise now for you guys watching this if I get your name wrong. I'm really sorry. Corporation Pop. Yeah, I've had that all day though, so I've earned this. I've been working non-stop today. I've been finishing off the last bits of work that I've had from my customers. I dragged it out as much as possible. So yeah, I've got my work computer home now as well, so can actually do some work and try and send them an invoice, see how that goes. But yeah, we've got a few people here now. So the theme for today, I mean, we've been talking about street photography for the last couple of, this is my third, isn't it? So yeah, the theme, again, if you're just joining this now and you watched the other day's video, Tuesday, I think it was, or Wednesday, and the audio was crap, apologies, I didn't select this microphone. So I was talking into this microphone, but it wasn't selected in the YouTube thing. So yeah, apologies for that. It sounded crap when I listened back to it, so I am sorry. Although feedback from people like Dan Goody have told me that it sounded all right through the phone, so that's a relief. But yeah, I wanted to, obviously we're talking about street photography a lot, and obviously there's enough people sort of educating the life out of landscape photography. So I kind of feel like I'm learning a lot with my street photography, and I don't know how the channel is going to progress, whether it's going to do more street photography or, I mean, I live in a beautiful part of Wales, for goodness sake, I'm still going to do landscapes, but I just feel like I'm learning a lot with my street photography. So it's a really, really good opportunity as I'm learning to share with you guys as well, you know. So I thought what we'll do is we'll try and make this an educational live. We'll try and not make it 3 hours as well, but we'll try and make it educational. So we're obviously going to be talking about the fear of street photography and why so many people want to do it but find it so daunting. So we're looking to address that today, and we're hopefully going to solve that problem. But yeah, if you've got what I wanted to do is let me know as well what the last couple of days, what you guys have been shooting, if you've been actually taking any pictures. For about 10 minutes earlier, I actually got the camera out, and the light was really, really nice by the window. So I actually managed to down tools, and I took a picture. Like the light was coming through. I don't know why you can see that. The light was coming through on the window, so I got a picture. Actually, zoom in a little bit so you can see a little bit better. So the light coming in through nice on the window. So I actually managed to take some pictures today for about 10 minutes. But yeah, so that felt good. But at the same time, this whole thing has been really, really frustrating me. So I've not felt very creative at all. So yeah. But yeah, do let me know. Tag me on your Instagram posts if you've been taking any pictures. Let me know what you've been doing at home. I'm hopefully going to do a video on. Obviously, we're going to be in lockdown for a while in the UK and most places now. So I'm hopefully going to do a video on some sort of photography around the house. Don't particularly want to give everybody a tour of my house, but we'll try and sort that out. But do tag me in your pictures on Instagram and stuff, and it'd be good to see what you guys have been shooting. I actually feel like it's a good opportunity to learn, because it's really, really difficult, isn't it, shooting around the house? You know your house so well, so it's difficult to see creative things in an environment that you know so well. So if you can actually pull off a nice shoot around the house, I think you're doing well. But we've had some really fantastic weather, so the light's been great, and yeah, we should have all been able to get some decent pictures around the house if we've tried. Really, we've been spoilt with the weather. Depressing, but we're spoilt. Bob Bowring's here from Kent with a nice coffee. You're not going to upgrade your coffee at any point, no, mate? No, going to keep on the coffee. So yeah, we've got a few people here. So what I wanted to do is talk about the fear of street photography, how I addressed it, and how I think. I obviously want to hear what you guys think of what it is about street photography you find intimidating. Is it literally standing there with the camera in the public? Is it the fear of somebody coming up to you? Is it the fear of I don't know, not knowing what to photograph? I mean, what is it? What is the question you would want answering with your street photography to actually motivate you to get out there more? What would help? And obviously that's what we're going to try and answer today. So I'm no expert yet. I'm obviously still learning, but I was actually thinking today that prior to doing this live, that because I've been doing professional photography for 20 years, 18 years, obviously I've encountered a few problems where people have not wanted me there photographing, or a few celebrities even that I've photographed, like X Factor and stuff, have been difficult. So I kind of got used to it over the years. And some weddings, difficult weddings, where people don't want the picture taken, or the vicars don't want you to take their picture. Vicars don't want you taking photographs during the service and stuff. So yeah, I'm kind of used to it. So I was thinking today how that's obviously influenced my street photography. It's obviously made me a lot more resistant to it. Unless with Gary Goff, which case I seem to react a bit different. But yeah, I will talk about it today. We can see, write down, let me know some questions. And Mark's been trying some portrait photography in the house with your daughter. That's what kids are for, isn't it? They're not going to let you take the picture. That is what you had them for. I hope you got some good ones, mate. Okay, so we got, who is that friend? I got a great photograph of a long hallway of my wife's doctor of chairs, set of 6 with people on them. All right, well, tag me in it, mate. I'd like to see them. All right, David Sprague. Sorry, man, I didn't see your comment over there. When are you going to get back with the? Oh, it's gone. When are you going to get back with the Nikon film camera? Some street photography. My tip is VAT. Oh no. Yeah, so the Nikon camera is something that I do want to get out with and shoot a lot more. But I'm fearful of using the film camera, because I feel like if I got the shot that, or if I got an opportunity for the shot that I was always going to really, really treasure, I just feel that having the film camera is going to make me panic a little bit more, or make me sort of regret not having the digital. So when I know that, I mean, it was good because the time I went to Bath for a couple of hours and did some street photography with a film camera, I never really found a composition or anything that I liked, so I wasn't really bothered. But a few of the shoots I've done in London, where I've thought if I was shooting film now, I'd be really worried because of the need to change your ISO, change it. So yeah, don't think I'm quite experienced enough in film yet. I think it's more of a developing. I need to understand how far you can push film later in post, so you haven't got to worry too much about getting it right in camera so much, which is obviously what we're used to with digital. But I would like to do more film. I'd like to definitely do more film. So I feel like you learn so much about photography and about composition with film, because you've got to slow down so much more. It makes you appreciate every shot. So, Max tagged me in a picture. I look forward to seeing that. But yeah, we'll do it soon, mate. We'll do it soon. Merseyside, Matt Chatsworth Photography. Good to see you, mate. Hi, all from Kent. Actually, funny thing was, I was doing some research on YouTube Live, and it turns out, because I was a bit like, not embarrassed, but like found it quite funny that that my first live was about 300 million hours long, and I did a bit of research, and there's a really famous girl in America that just shouts a lot through her lives, and her average is about 6 to 12 hours on her live. So I don't feel so bad that mine was 3 hours now. Let me switch this on because the laptop's not on. That's not going to run out of juice halfway through now. Okay, so I've got a great photo. Yeah, got that one. April Urquhart. Making eye contact stops me taking a photograph. I think it would, everybody, April. I think if you see this is where anticipating the shot comes in. If you can anticipate a photograph happening and you see somebody coming towards you and you get the scene right, you've no longer got to make contact with that person. You've got your peripheral vision, as I call it, and you can sort of set your composition up and wait and just have that person come into the corner of your vision, and then just get it right. I think once you've seen a shot, I mean, if you're looking for expression in people, if you're walking, I remember doing a couple of photographs in Dubai, and the photographs I was really quite happy with, a couple of Chinese girls. They can walk around the corner and they had these umbrellas on, they had the masks on, not that it wasn't even needed then, and they looked quite aggressive towards me as I took the picture, and I really like it. And I like that they had sunglasses on, but I think you could see the light was shining. You could see through the sunglasses. So they were definitely staring at me. They were definitely giving me a bit of, not obviously aggression, but a bit of confrontation with their look. But I know they're never going to say anything. And if you just sort of, I mean, it depends how honest you want to be. But if they said, "Oh, you just take my picture," say, "No, I was taking a picture of that. You just having to walk through. Sorry," and just walk on. There's no reason why. I mean, that's if you have to look on. You can always just get your composition. You know you need somebody there. You know you need somebody in that foreground. And then when that happens, you haven't got to even look at the person. You've just got to set your scene up. That's why back-button focus is so good, because you can set your focus up to where you want them to be. And then you can obviously decide on your aperture for your depth of field and all that sort of thing. You can decide on your shutter. You can decide on your ISO, all well in advance. And then when the person comes into the scene, you can be like looking even around. You could be sort of doing this and go 3, 2, 1, bang. You know, you're not even looking at the direction of the photograph. So that was quite an easy one to overcome. But it literally is a case of saying, right, okay, put yourself in that difficult position. You know, make it so that, you know, right, I want to take this photograph, but I'm really going to struggle with this. But put yourself in that position. Just stand there for a while, get used to the environment. Don't go rushing in and get the camera out and start fumbling and stuff like that. Just stand there, take it in and go, right, in my own time, I'm going to relax. I'm just going to stand here. No camera. Put the camera in your bag if you want. Just stand there. Just stand there. Get familiar with the environment. So you're more familiar with the environment than the person is walking in it. And then when they come down, you'll go, right, okay, I'm ready to take a picture now. I've got my composition. Everything with my eye is locked down. All I've got to do is get my camera out of the bag and then get that composition. The same as what my eye's been seeing, and then wait for that person. Because once you've done that and you've done it 3 or 4 times in the same day, you'll run up to compositions. It won't bother you because you're so used to that sort of strategy, that sort of find the composition, just stand there, look around, take it all in, and then think, you know what, here's somebody coming now. I've got my frame, I've got everything ready. I mean, like a good trick. I mean, I kind of sometimes I literally just stand there like this, so the camera's just there, and I'm not sort of looking around. I've got the camera there, and I can just go bang, 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 bang. You can't, you know, you can barely see me pressing the button. So if I've got the composition like this, I've got everything I want. I can literally just go, right, okay, there's the person. I'm pre-focused. Everything's ready. 3, 2. Well, you can pretend to be on the phone if you wanted to. Just get your phone out and just. So there's ways around it. But if that is the problem, it's brilliant. I suppose it's like anything with I always tend to use like analogies and metaphors, and with business and with marketing, you always look for the problems for the company. You always look for where they struggle. And if you're worried about that aspect of your street photography, if that is it, it's really good, because it means that that once you've ticked that box, well, as long as you can sort of say, right, okay, I know how to do that now. All I've got to do is stand there 10 minutes or 5 minutes, take it all in, wander around a bit, don't even touch my camera, just stand there and look at the composition, make sure I'm happy. As long as you've got that confidence to do that, you fly then. You ain't going to worry. But it's good to know that you've got a problem, though. You know, it's good to know that your eye contact is the problem, because you just look either through them or past them, and you'll just get used to it. It is a case of practice, 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 unfortunately, but you'll get used to it. But yeah, cheers to the question, April. Hope that answers your question. But yeah, you don't need to make eye contact at all. You can. In fact, there's a great photographer from the 60s, and he did this act. I can't think of his name now. What was the name of the film I watched with him in? It was a New York-based photographer, I think, and he pretended to be a bumbling idiot. So he had this really good camera, but obviously in the old days, any camera looked the same, didn't it? And he was kind of fumbling with his camera when he was like taking a picture, and it's like snap, and he just didn't have a clue. He looked like an idiot. Like, you'd never go up to him and say, "Have you just taken a picture?" Because it didn't look like he could string a sentence together. You know what I mean? So there's always that approach. Still prefer my 5D to my X Pro 1. Yeah, I probably would prefer the 5D Mark III to an X Pro 1 myself. Although I do want one. I do want to go and have a go with an X Pro 1, because there's something about the RAW files, I believe, and I've never ever used them. I don't think it's the same RAW file I've used in other cameras anyway. Dan Goody, good to see you, mate. I hope you're well anyway. Dan is a pharmacist for the NHS, so I hope you're well, mate. I hope you and the family are keeping well. Thanks for watching. How have you got time out of work to watch this anyway? Should be saving lives. The only thing I find intimidating, asking people for portraits. I have always wanted to do it, but I avoid it and never know what to say. So Dan's been in a few of my videos of me. He's met up on me on my workshop, my photo walks. And I suggested to Dan, he's a really, really nice guy. Check out his Instagram. He's a great photographer. Dan Goody Art, I think you are, aren't you? So check out his Instagram. But when I actually wanted to do a video like this, I actually wanted us to go out. I was going to use one of the medium format TLR things, one of the big medium format things. Where was it? That one there probably, and actually get some street portraits, or the 56 1.2, that sort of lens. And I said to Dan about going out and doing this, and I obviously don't have a problem with going up to people and talking to them, because it's part of my job. And if people say no, it really wouldn't bother me at all. I mean, salesmen come up to me and say, "Can I sell you this?" And I'll say, "Sorry, mate," and walk off. So it's no different, is it, to me? Well, to me, it feels the same. If they're coming up polite and saying, "Excuse me, do you mind if I take your picture? You look fantastic. I love the way you dress," or anything. As long as you're polite, I just don't see an issue. And if somebody honestly says, "Oh, I'd rather you didn't, mate. I don't like having a picture taken," absolutely fine. Move on to the next. But I wanted to do a video with Dan, and I'm going to convince him one of these days that we're actually going to go out and do that. We're actually going to go out and go up to people. If you watch my Oxford video I put out a couple of weeks ago, I was struggling a little bit for the environment, for the compositions and the sort of photography I'd normally go for. But what I did find was a lot of really quirky people. I let a lot of them go because I didn't really want my video to be about that sort of photography, just like portraits, street portraits, not street photography as such, because it's not candid, is it? You've actually asked them. It stops being candid when you ask them for a photograph. But obviously it's nice to have a bit of balance. So I thought, you know what, I'm not getting anywhere with my street photography as such, so I'm going to approach a few people. Now, the way I see it, if somebody goes out dressed really, really quirky, or they go out dressed really off the wall, or they just look interesting, they look charismatic, to me, they're asking for somebody to go up to them and say, "Wow, you look fantastic," or, you know, whatever. They're looking for attention. That's the way I see it. Whether I'm right or wrong, I don't know. So every person I've been up to that looks a bit quirky, going back to one of my videos, a guy I met, Omar, I think his name was, in London, one of my first street videos, and I was going to go up to him and ask him for directions originally, but I thought, you know what, the guy looks amazing. I thought I really liked the confidence, the round glasses he had and everything. He looked really sort of almost very, very hipster, very hipster. And I just thought, you know what, I'll take a few portraits. And he was really, really confident. As soon as I said, "Oh, have you got 5 minutes? I'd love to do a photo shoot with you," he flipping loved it. As soon as he seen my camera. So I said, "Do you know how to get to wherever it was?" And he said, yeah, sure. I said, oh yeah, I'm just around here doing a few photographs, and I just don't know how to get there because I'm not from London. Oh right, okay, yeah, I like your camera. Yeah, I said, yeah, cool. Do you ever do any photography yourself or anything like that? He said, no. I said, well, fancy doing a quick shoot now? He's like, yeah, I'd love to. So just literally by striking up a conversation innocently, like how to get to a certain place, I was able to sort of say, well, if you've got 5 minutes, we can do a quick photo shoot. All he could have said was, no, mate, not for me, but appreciate the compliment or anything like that. There's no issue with asking somebody and them saying no. Do you know what I mean? It's an easy one, really, because if I'm going to go market, when I used to do a lot of marketing for my company when I had studios, and I used to do a lot of commercial photography. And sorry if I always liken this back to commercial photography, but what a very, very wise chap once said to me, he was a marketing expert, and I said to him, in my early days, I had no confidence at all until I was about 24, and in business. And this guy said to me, he says, you all just aim for the nose. So, as in not aim for the nose, but if you've got aim for me is always about 10% return. So I always look for the companies that might use my products, and then I'd approach 10 of them. And I'm always hoping for 1 in 10. But that means you're going to get 9 no's. But what it means is, all I used to do is think, well, okay, there's 1 no down, brilliant. Let's go on to the next one. Say no, maybe. I'd say that was a no. If you say maybe, that's a no to me. So okay, brilliant. I've only got 8 people to go, and you're going to get a yes. So I always looked at it the other way around. I always looked for the no's, as opposed to, oh man, they said no, and then that knocking my confidence. Then going to the next company, and then they've said no again. Oh, I'm rubbish at this. So I would look at 10 companies, knock on the door, say, hello, mate, can I explain what service I might like to offer you? And if they said yes, you think, brilliant. That was only 7 people before I got a yes. So it'd start again. Do you know what I mean? So what I do is it's the same thing with this, is if I go out doing street photography and somebody said to me, no, mate, I don't want to have my portrait taken. I'd say, okay, no, next 9 more. If the next person says yes, I mean, I bet you bottom dollar that most people would say yes. If you find someone quirky, someone interesting, not just someone who looks a mess or isn't really feeling great on that day, but you think they make a good picture, I think the key is to find somebody who looks like they want the attention. You know what I mean? And I'd be surprised if most people didn't say yes. Anyway, let's read some of these comments. We'll get back to that, Dan. I think we'll pick up on that one again. And you are going to do that video with me, mate, whether you like it or not. So yeah, check out Dan Goody Art, I think they're called, or Dan Good Art. Check out his Instagram. He's a great photographer, great street photographer. To James, mate, I think street photography has so many opportunities. It does, because you can never go out and take the same shot twice. It's pretty much impossible. Like with landscape photography, there'll be so many places that you'll see, say like Snowdonia or Scotland, you think, wow, that castle is incredible, or that mountain view is incredible. I want to go there and take a picture like that. And other than the weather being exactly the same and the light being in different positions around the world, around the year, you could walk away with that same view if you wanted to, unless they physically move the rock or something from the foreground. But with street photography, you can literally just wander anywhere. I mean, every single video I've done with street photography is completely unplanned, mainly because I couldn't plan anything to save my life. But you can literally just turn up at any street and have a wander around and go, right, let's just create something. And it could be anything, can't it? There's no limit to it. And you can go out. Do you know what I was saying to the guys on the photo notes, actually, that if you've got a particular style with street photography, like I fall into a category of doing a bit more like the minimalistic and the fine art looking, less so. A lot of people don't like my street photography because it's not the style that they would shoot. So what you can do is you can sort of say, well, okay, that's fine. You like your style, I like mine. And you can obviously look at other people's Instagram. You can look at other photographers and be inspired by it. You don't have to like it, really. You don't have to like what they do. Like, I mean, I must admit, there's some of the Bruce Gilden and some of the in-your-face sort of I'm not a huge fan of. But it doesn't mean that you couldn't go out for an hour or two and think, do you know what, I really like the way that guy does this with his photographs, and just try it. Or I don't like the way that guy does this pictures, but I'm gonna have a go at it and see if I can make it my own and see if I can put my twist on it or something like that. So yeah, with street photography, it's limitless, really. Cheers, Peter. The unsung heroes still want to know if you use Lightroom or other. Right, I'm 99.9% Lightroom until I messed up a couple of months back because I did a big print for somebody, and when it came back from the printers, they loved it and everybody loved it, and I just regret not basically what I should have done was the original edit in Lightroom and just to make sure I liked the photograph and giving them a proof and everything like that. That probably wouldn't have worked, but when it came back from print, I just didn't feel that the clarity and everything was as good as it would have been if I'd have done it in Capture One, or if I'd have edited it a bit more in Photoshop, or there's other editing softwares that seem to do a lot better with Fuji files anyway. In fact, Ken Walker's watching this now. I've just seen his name pop up, and we were talking about this the other day. Yesterday, I think it was. And it's horses for courses, because I actually said that with street photography, because I focus at infinity, I'm using f8. I don't find any issues with Lightroom at all. But with landscape photography, anything with any detail, like where the foliage, you can't really see them. You can't really see it. Any foliage on a Fuji file, I think I struggle with a little bit with Lightroom. But only if you're going to print it, you're going to see that, or if you're going to zoom in 100%, you're going to see that. So I do really love the workflow of Lightroom. I hate the catalogs. I really can't get my head around. I'm not an organized person, so I can't get my head around the catalog side of Lightroom, but I do really like. Somebody actually told me the other day, I don't know if you guys know this, but you can actually make Capture One look like Lightroom. Google that. I didn't know that until about last week. Somebody told me that. So yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, that would be good. But yeah, I've got the Creative Cloud everything, so I'd end up paying for Capture One again, which is about 200 quid a year, isn't it? It's ridiculous. So yeah, but yeah, definitely Lightroom. Sharpening though, I don't use Lightroom for sharpening. If I think a file particularly needs sharpening, I definitely export it into Photoshop, just for the Apple and E or Control and E, I suppose it would be on a PC or whatever it is. Just I always sharpen. If I feel like about 80% of the time, I don't actually sharpen a Fuji RAW file. I feel like it just makes the image worse, and you don't really notice it that much anyway. You're better off just leaving it. What you can do is when you go to, I do keyboard shortcuts, so Apple Shift and E. So to export it, you've got the option to sharpen there. But no, I tend to do as much as I can in Lightroom, because I can do it so fast. It's so fast, Lightroom, isn't it? But yeah, cheers for the question, unsung hero. Stephen Photo, black and white or color? Street photography for me, I think, is black and white. And this is what I said in the previous video, that previous live, that if I go out to shoot black and white, if I go out to do street photography, I'm either decided there and then if I'm shooting black and white or color. And then if I'm shooting color, it'll be color elements or color shapes or color figures, or like if you watched my Florence video, when I had a lady on the steps wearing a long red sort of jumpsuit or whatever you call them, and then the white sort of can't think what they call them hats now, Panama hats, yeah. So it was that red, because I was shooting color, I was drawn to what she was wearing. If I was shooting black and white, probably would have still taken the photograph but tried to go a bit closer so I didn't have so much of the red in it. And I think that when I shoot street photography, I always make a decision. If I'm shooting black and white, I'm looking for black and white shapes, tones, textures. If I'm shooting color, then obviously I'm looking for color to be an important part of it. I don't want to get the file back and then look at it and think, oh, that's going to look better in black and white, because it might look better in black and white, but it would have always looked, it's always better, in my opinion, to take a photograph intentionally to be color or intentionally to be black and white, especially with black and whites being my black and whites anyway. I like a lot of contrast, so I like things to be black and I like things to be white on the histogram. So yeah, I definitely home in on what's going to work. What I know is going to be the end image will be a black and white, if that makes any sense, as opposed to thinking when I get back, am I going to look at the raw files and go, I mean, sometimes you guys watch my videos and sometimes I'll put a black and white or a color one up. and a colour one up. I'll put them both up next to each other so you can see what they look like. But my intention will always have been one of the other, and it would have been, oh, but some people might prefer in colour, if you know what I mean. So I'll give you the option. But no, I always recommend people do choose, make a conscious decision on that though. But I much prefer black and white for street photography. Not to say I haven't taken any photographs I really like in colour. Good grief, I need to catch up with this, don't I? Mac and Teens, hey man, where am I now? Where am I, people? Do you know what? You guys have got names that flipping heck. I'm trying to read this. I can't read white writing on a black background, and I try and read this so quick. Krish is here. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Krish Nagar, is that how you say your name? Check him out on Instagram as well. He's a good photographer. He likes his portraits though. He works in Command and Cameras, and well, did work in Command and Cameras. Nobody works there now. All right, okay. Okay, here we go. Can't see the fascination with film. Back to the day there was no choice, but I honestly don't miss it at all. That's AO to go. I think if it's one of the ones that if you've ever shot film, if you've ever been out and actually used it, then you've obviously got the luxury to be able to say whether or not it works for you or not. If you've never shot film, I think it's a cardinal sin really to not have a go. And I don't mean go out and buy all the stuff to develop it as well. Just put one roll through your camera, because just the mere fact that you can't cheat. I mean, you can do it with, I suppose, with this, because it's got an optical viewfinder as well, and I could take the back screen up, and I still find that these have got electronics in them that, because with a really basic film camera, I don't mean one that's got like full auto on it or anything like that, but like just to appreciate and just to slow down, I think it just means if you take one roll, say you got like 24 exposures or you got 36 exposures, it just means for a whole day you've got to make each photograph count. You put a lot more thought into it, and I just think it just improve your photography. That's just my opinion. If you've already shot film and you hated it, fine. But I really like the process of looking forward to the. So I've got these. Where are they? These three films that I can't even remember what's on them. That's a Portra 400, so I think that is that's a portrait in colour, so I can't develop that anyway. That's a street shoot which I did. I tested the Nikon FM2. When I got the Nikon FM2, that's the film I put through it to test it. But I did another test, so that's around Swansea. I haven't even edited that. I don't even know what the pictures look like. And I couldn't tell you what's on there. So it's when you develop the film and you look back and think, oh, I forgot I took that. That's really cool. I think things like that I really enjoy. Put them back. I don't know why, but I can't get the screen to be really brighter. It's because of the white background. It's really annoying. But yeah, I know what you mean though. Simon West, attitude. Who is Stefan? I will never get back to film, but I'm glad the younger generation appreciate it. Yes, mate, they do appreciate it. It's very hipster and cool at the minute, isn't it? Alan Watson, good to see you, man. Alan Watson's a great photographer. Actually, you're based in Birmingham, aren't you? Because your Instagram picture is one very similar to one I took, so I think you must be from Birmingham. And obviously, when I took in Birmingham, what worked for me in the beginning was to shoot with a 50mm prime on a crop sensor. I found it let me to take the shot from some sort of distance, which made me feel more comfortable. That's a really good idea. And yeah, I mean, with the short time I was shooting with this is the Fuji 50mm f2, which is about a 72mm equivalent. And I had this on the XT3. The reason was because it was weather sealed. And I wanted to try and pick out some more details. And I actually I remember in the video, it was my extreme street photography video, I remember getting off the train and just looking through the viewfinder with that lens and just finding details left, right, and centre. You were nowhere near the person. Like Alan says, you're from a completely safe distance. And you just meant that if you took your eye away from the camera, realised how far away you are, you think, well, they're never going to see me because I'm so far away. And you can obviously pick out details. The hit rate was really good with that lens. I did enjoy it. But obviously, because of the focal length of the lens, you're going to lose depth of field. So on that day, I came away from this lens because I felt like I had to shoot f11 the whole time just to get my depth of field, and it wasn't happening because it was really overcast. But yeah, definitely a good point. If you've got a prime lens is a really good way of starting street photography because it makes you think. It makes you use your feet. It makes you think. It takes the thinking out in a way, because you're not thinking about the camera so much, but it makes you think as far as your composition, as far as where your feet are going to be. And it just means that when you put your camera to your eye, you're not zooming backwards and forwards thinking, what part of the lens should I use? So you definitely use your feet, put your feet where you think the shot's going to be. And I think prime lens is definitely the way to learn street photography. But yeah, like Alan says, there's a distance. So you'd be on about 70, depending on which camera, I guess, but about 75mm again with that 50mm prime, wouldn't you? So on a crop sensor, as he says. But yeah, cheers, Alan. Hope you're well, mate. Good teen. While you're off, maybe spend some time producing old photos. Try some double exposures. That's a good idea. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like goes without saying, any settings that you don't use on your camera because you haven't got the luxury of sort of getting it wrong and prattling around and stuff like that. Well, I haven't anyway. If I go out on my camera, I want to make sure I get it right. So double exposures and things like that, something I don't think I've ever taken a single double exposure. I know Mark Fernley, if you check out his Instagram, he takes a lot of double exposures. And if you're not sure what that is, it's literally when in the old film days, it would be literally you take a photograph, but you're cranking the shutter back up, but you're not winding the film on, so it takes another photograph straight over the same place. So you're taking two photographs in one basically. And obviously we've got the luxury of Photoshop, so we could create layers and do that afterwards. But yeah, you can get some really good effects. Looking for textures and stuff like that, and overlaying it with portraits and things like that. Like a side-on silhouette of someone with a textured background with a textured underlay is really cool. Double exposures, yeah, but good idea. Good teen. Simon West, best I find is to look through people. Exactly, yeah. So just act like you're kind of like this, like act like they're in your way. So like you're trying to take a picture and then, oh man, you move, sort of thing. But you're actually going bang, 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 bang. That's what you want. And in fact, little trick is to do that, because as you're going, oh man, can you get out of the way, please? I'm trying to take a picture. As you're doing that, people are looking at you as if to say, what are you doing? Right? By doing that, you're getting them to look at you. Sometimes you don't want them to look at the camera. Sometimes you do. So by the actual fact that you're jumping around trying to look like you're trying to get them out of the picture, and it means as well, if they actually do see you taking a picture, you've already made it obvious that you're there. So you're not like hiding the camera under your arm or something like that, you know, because that looks really weird, and people are going to say, what on earth are you doing? But if you're like looking like you're trying to get them out of the way, like you want to see what's behind them, shift. so they're going to look at you and go, oh, sorry mate, like that, and they think you're doing them a favor, not the other way around, you know. Yeah. Nice one, Simon. Hope you're well, mate. Mark says, I get so nervous out in the streets, not that confident. I bet you if you just walk around without your camera, you probably wouldn't feel, well, maybe you would. Maybe you would. I mean, who am I to say? I mean, do you, let me know in the comments, do you find that just walking around, if you put your camera in your bag, don't even have, no, the camera is not visible, or if it can go in a coat pocket or something like that, just walking around the city centre without a camera, can't, obviously we all do that. Not now, lockdown, but you know what I mean. So surely walking around without a camera is going to be easy enough. So surely when you put your camera in your hand, you're going to say, well, okay, now this is a different dynamic. Now I'm actually got the camera in my hand. People are going to start looking at me. What am I doing? But again, I mean, I suppose I've got the luxury of doing photography for a living, means that normally, obviously not with my YouTube channel, but normally if I go anywhere to take a photograph, I'm there because I'm being commissioned to be there. So like I might be there to take a photograph of a specific building. So I'm used to getting there and feeling like I'm actually supposed to be there, and the people that are there in front of me are actually in my way. So luckily for me, I've got that sort of ability to just to say, all right, I'm just trying to get a picture of that building. I need you to move. Sorry guys, sorry. You know, but they don't, you know, for me, I'm just dead used to that. So that, I suppose, as was said before to the lady before, it's just something you'll get used to. If you act like you've got an invisible high-vis vest on and you've got some sort of badge there that says official photographer or something like that, you'd walk around like completely different. If you've got some sort of authority that says, listen, I've got a vest on, I've got a badge, I've got like I don't know, a sandwich board or whatever it is that says I'm supposed to be here, I'm supposed to be doing this job, I'm getting paid to take a photograph of this event or whatever it is, you're not going to worry. You're just going to say, like, everybody comes up to me saying I'm official photographer for whatever it is. So there isn't really a difference. It's just that you haven't got that vest on. But if anybody come up to you and said, "Oh, what are you doing, mate?" So yeah, I'm trying to take a picture of that building. But say it with like confidence, like they're going to say, "Oh, right, okay, sorry, mate, I realised." Yeah, it's just going to be one of them things where you're going to have a few ideas of what to say. You know, when somebody comes up to you, you prepare for it. So you say, "Well, I'm going to go out today. I'm going to bring the camera. I'm going to take some pictures, and if anybody comes up to me, I'm going to find somewhere to stand, and I'm going to have something to say. I'm not going to be sorry and leg it, you know, because that looks really dodgy." So if you take that out of the equation and say, "Right, I'm going to stand here. I'm going to take a picture of this frame, this composition, or that building, or this light." And if somebody comes up to me and say, "Yeah, I'm just trying to take a photograph of this building with a light on the right hand side of it," or whatever it is. So you've got an answer. You know, you're not sort of worried and scared to say why you're there, but just be confident. I mean, I know it's easier said than done, and I started off in business really, really shy, believe it or not. I was kind of forced in the deep end, so I had no choice really, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, that is it. You just stand there for long enough and think, well, I'm definitely happy with this photograph. I'm definitely happy. I'm going to get my camera out now. I'm going to take this photograph. I just need somebody in it, or I need a close-up of somebody, or whatever it is. But yeah, just be prepared for the no's, like I said earlier. Be prepared for the people to come up and say, "What do you think you're doing?" Well, as long as you're on public property, they can't really do anything. So make sure you're on public property. I've learned that lesson. I've learned that lesson. So as long as you're on public property, somebody says to you, "What are you doing?" Well, to be honest, I'm just taking a picture of that when everybody goes, sort of thing. Just to have an answer. It's easy then. Cheers, Mark. Anyway, I haven't offended your confidence there. But give me a shout if you ever want any. I mean, obviously we're all in a right pickle with this malarkey that's going on around the world, and it's obviously put us all in a bit of a pickle. But if anybody wants any sort of like advice or guidance or anything like that, just we can sort out some sort of hourly rate or half hourly rate or whatever like that. So just send me an email or sort something out. Just jump on the website. I've set a Patreon up as well, so if anybody wants to help me out with that, not that I'm asking, I didn't start my YouTube channel with that intention at all. So but yeah, if you do if you do want to help me out, that would be very, very much appreciated. So yeah, but if you do want any sort of one-to-one help with confidence or anything like that, I think once you've got confidence, it's a bit like landscape photography with fitness. I think if you've got fitness and you've got that confidence in your fitness, you can get to the top of a mountain and you can get some epic views and you'll get some epic photographs. If you haven't got fitness and you haven't got the confidence in your fitness, you're thinking, "Oh, I'd love to get up there and take a photograph like that, but there's no way I'd get up that mountain." But, you know, it's like street photography. If you've got the confidence to know you can go out and say, "Right, I'm going to take this shot today. I'm going to stand in that alleyway. No one's going to move me, and I'm going to come away with that photograph no matter what." So when you get that confidence, you'll be like, "This is easy," because you've taken the fear out of it, you know, and that's pretty much key, really, you know. Right. So yeah, cheers, Mark, for that. Digital Nomad, Elliot Irwitt, fantastic. Actually, his quote, I've got a few quotes on my website. I've got one of his quotes on my website. Check that out. Don't get confused with quotes as to which one that is. But Elliot Irwitt's a phenomenal photographer. Actually, one of my favourites. I really, really like his style. Really, really, really nice work. So yeah, check out Elliot Irwitt. Great photographer. Stuart Haythorne says, "Bless you down." Do you know each other? Peter James Ingram, why should we do it candidly when we're not doing anything wrong or against the law? Why should we have to do it candidly? I see what you mean, right? So you don't at all. There's no rules in any sort of photography. So if anybody tells you have to do it this way, it's rubbish, right? In my opinion, I'm probably going to get slated for that now, but yeah, you don't have to do anything that you don't want to do with your art. And the problem is with street photography, it has to be candid, because there's some really, really talented photographers that I follow on Instagram, and I was actually made aware that one or two of them that I follow and think their work is consistently amazing. It's incredible. And I was actually informed that one or two of them were they actually staged the pictures. Now, it still shows that they're incredible artists and incredible photographers, because they're thinking of this composition, they're thinking of where the light should be, they're thinking about what's going to go on, thinking about the journey, the story and all that. But they have asked someone they know or their other half to stand in this particular place or walk through this particular place. Now, street photography, as far as I know, needs to be candid. It needs to be completely uninfluenced. You know, you've set the scene, you've waited, and then it happens. That's the challenge, because anybody could sort of say, dress up with a trophy hat, put your camera on a tripod, and go and stand in a, you know, there's not really, there's once you're able to read the light and see the tones, see the shapes and everything like that, that's not so much of a challenge. But the challenge with street photography is actually capturing it candidly. So you haven't got the luxury of just saying, okay, give me 2 minutes, the light's perfect, you go and stand there, snap, next. You know, it's just different. And I think once you there's nothing wrong with it though. I can understand why people don't call it street photography, even though that you are on the street and you're using a camera. But in my opinion, it needs to be candid. You know, it needs to be honest. It needs to be candid. And like, again, Mark Fernie, sorry to mention his name again, but if you go on his Instagram, you'll see a lot of his selfies. But he always says they're a selfie. I think he used to post them every Thursday. I think it's Mark_Fernley. I'll put a link in the thing afterwards. But he actually mentions he's always got his hat on. He's always got this like really, really cool hat and his black suits and everything. So he knows, he can see where the shot would be. And sometimes he does workshops as well. So sometimes he'll get people on his workshops to actually take pictures. He asked me when I met him. He asked me to take a picture for him. But he never says that it's a non-candid. Sorry, that it's a candid street photograph. He's always honest about it. And I think you need to be honest about it. I think there's nothing wrong with doing it, but I do think you have to be honest about it, because it's a bit like composites with landscape photography, and people get there and go, "What? That tree isn't even here." Do you know what I mean? So I think honesty is important, but yeah, it's still, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just as long as you're honest, and you know, that's my opinion. But yeah, so hope that's answered the question. Why should we have to do it candidly? Yeah, we're not doing wrong anything against the law. We are now. If we go out and do any pictures now, we're against the law. It's driving me nuts. Is anybody else suffering with this? So we can't go out. I mean, opportunities we're losing through this. I'm not allowed to say the word, because apparently YouTube's listening for that particular word. So I'm not allowed to say the word. I've discovered that. So yeah, it's very, very frustrating though. There's a few YouTubers in New York that have gone out and done street photography while New York's empty, and it's really jealous. I mean, I know it's irresponsible to a degree, but yeah, as long as you stayed away, I mean, the opportunities we're missing is crap, basically. So frustrating. I wonder if I can just press down and do it this way. John Fox, hi from Canada's north. Hi from Connors Key, North Wales. Oh, I've never heard of Connors Key. Never heard of it. Do you prefer primes? Primes or a small zoom for street photography? Definitely primes. Definitely. Because the best thing, I mean, it's one of the things I love about like the little X100 cameras and pretty much all the Fuji cameras, is that you can set your camera up, meter it for the light. You stick a prime lens on it, and you forget about the camera. You have it on. You know where your back button focus is. You either focus for a zone, or you focus in. However you decide to focus, like infinity and then f8, I hope that somebody's not going to be too close to the camera, or whatever zone you decide to focus for. And then you literally just you just forget about the camera. The camera's not even there. It's just the button that you're thinking about. And I think primes enable you to do that, because your eye becomes what the prime sees. So that's why I like 35mm, because it gives you a bit more flexibility, more so than your eye would, because your eye say about 48mm. So say your eye is a 50mm lens, a 35mm lens on that camera is obviously wider than my eye. And it just means that if I put my feet where I think a good shot is and look around and think, right, okay, I like this composition there to there, and my eye can already see that. So, but before even putting the camera to my face, I know what the shot is. Now, if I did that with a zoom lens, I'd be standing there and going, which bit should I zoom into? Should I have the whole thing, or should I just zoom into that bit? Or, oh no, I've missed it now. I've missed the opportunity. So for me, it just means that there's less thinking, and it's just about capturing what I see and where I'm putting my feet, you know? So, but again, when I was out with Mark, he shoots with a zoom lens, because the style of his photography, sometimes you might need to stand further back and zoom in. Sometimes you might need a really wide shot, because he'll use a lot of foreground. Just depends on the style of you're shooting, because when interviewed Mark at the end of the video, basically it was obvious that there was no way he could use a prime for the style of photography that he does, because it's so varied. Sometimes he'll have, like I say, like a person blurry in the background, very small, and a massive amount of foreground, pretty much like you do with landscape photography, but obviously a lot smaller depth of field, and he'd intentionally blur that background. So yeah, he shoots like drastically different. There's no way I wouldn't have been able to get a shot where I have a lot of foreground and somebody in the background, really, because I'm using a 35mm equivalent. So for me, I would have had to put on a sort of like an 18mm equivalent or something like that, 24mm equivalent, and then shoot back to another prime. So for him, it makes sense that he was on a zoom lens. 18 to 55 he uses on his Fuji X-T2, I think. Yeah, but it's horses for courses, because I shoot weddings with primes as well, and I know a lot of people couldn't stand the idea of shooting a wedding with a prime lens. But yeah, can I just press down? Yes, I can just do that. Why didn't I think of that before? Sometimes Candid is the only way for certain results. I agree. Yeah, people struggling to naturally feel they are being photographed. If they feel they're being photographed, that's right. It ends up being like a portrait, but it depends. If it's a silhouette and they're not even really visible, then I suppose they get away with it. The only problem is that sometimes it's like too perfect. The silhouette is too perfect, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I mean, have I ever done it? Don't think I've ever done it. I know I've taken a picture of Mark that he asked me to on the edge of Canary Wharf, but I've never taken. I remember a guy in my Bath video, actually. No, yeah, it was Bath. It was my photo walk Bath, and this guy. Was it the film one? It was the film one. It was the film video. And this guy seen me. I seen him picking up a bag from across the road, and I was using the Nikon FM2, so that had a 50mm lens, and I couldn't get there quick enough. I took the picture as he was picking up his bag, and then I said, "Oh, sorry, mate, I missed the moment." And he actually said, "Oh, do you want me to do it again, reenact it?" And he says it in the video, and you can hear me saying, "No, it has to be candid," because I'd rather have it honest. I'd rather have it so that it was clearly a candid photograph, because. Yeah, that's just how I see it, but I'm not telling everybody to do that. I just think you have to be honest when it's not. Lots of reports that the Ricoh Mark III is a great street photography camera, but any thoughts how it compare with the X Pro 2? It wouldn't compare to an X Pro 2 for me. I mean, I know it's an amazing camera. It could have the best sensor, the best lens. It could have the best everything. I like the snap focus. I love everything about the camera, apart from the fact it hasn't got a proper EVF or OVF. So, and it's a 28mm lens. So, is it still 16 megapixels? Because it used to be, I think. It used to be 16 meg, didn't it? But it depends how you shoot, because a lot of people literally just shoot like that, or they shoot candidly like that, or that's how they will never walk around doing this. So it depends. If that's how you shoot, then yeah, it'll work for you. But I could never imagine shooting. I'd never buy a camera again. I mean, my Canon M50, where is it? The one I use for my YouTube. I don't know where it is. The one I use for my YouTube videos. Phenomenal camera, but the very few times I've gone to use that camera to take a photograph and I put the thing to my eye, the EVF is so small on it, I can't use it. I absolutely can't use it. So you have to use the screen. But in strong daylight, you need a decent EVF or something like that. Well, I wouldn't be able to shoot strong conditions, make sure I can see the histogram perfectly and all that without having a proper EVF. It drives me nuts. Unless you're telling me there's one that clips on the top, I don't know. Macatines. Peter, I know. So it says, Peter James, oh, right, I know, but unfortunately it's the way society is going, and some of the confrontational photographers on YouTube don't help when they go to people for reaction. I've not seen that on YouTube. Drop me a link or something. I don't think I've ever seen a YouTuber doing anything like that. I've seen videos of Bruce Gilden doing it. But I don't think I've ever seen. I bumped into Dougie Wallace. He's a Glaswegian, I believe, photographer, very, very good photographer. He was in my video. If you look at the video, which was called in London, oh, what was it called? I'll see if I can find it, put a link down below if I remember. He was on Brick Lane, and the reason I seen him is because he was sat outside this cafe, really nice light. Where he was sat was in beautiful light, and it was like this. It is Olympus OM something digital camera, Micro Four Thirds thing, with 2 flashes on the side, and he was pointing at the floor. And I thought, what on earth? That bloke, didn't know who he was. He had his pork pie hat on. I didn't know who he was. So I went over and I sort of took a few snaps of him pointing in his camera at the floor. But he had the thing to his, he was actually looking through the viewfinder. So I walked around the front of him and I says, "Oh, sorry, mate, do you mind if I take your picture? I like your hat, I like your camera, I like the way you're sitting in that light. It was fantastic." He said, "Yeah, no worries." And he got a chat and he said, "Oh, I'm Dougie Wallace sort of thing. I'm a street photographer as well." And I thought, well, okay, never heard of him. He gave me his card. He gave me his big A6 business card thing. And he said, "Oh, look me up." So, I checked him out, and his photography was very much like shooting through glass with the twin flashes, and you can see why he had his camera so close to the floor, because obviously he's using that bright part of the floor with the flash to meter for the shots he was going to take, because obviously he was going to pre-focus about not even a meter, I wouldn't have thought, on a Mach 4 thirds camera, and obviously that's going to give you tremendous depth of field. But yeah, that was with a twin flash. He was obviously preparing, as I would, pre-focus at that distance, to go up to someone. You're never going to focus and autofocus that quick, that distance. It's not going to happen. So he was obviously setting up for that. Yeah. But I don't think I've ever seen a YouTube video of him. Gary Winogrand was that person, I think. Great street photographer. I know the name Gary Winogrand, and I think if I seen his work, I would definitely recognise him. But the name, I can't picture it. I know I've seen interviews with him though. 80s photographer, I think he was, wasn't he? 80s. Evening photos. Dan John. Nice to see you, Dan. Bob Bowering. I am disabled. That helps. I am disabled. That helps people because I don't want to say anything. But most people do not know the rules about photographing a public space. When you say know the rules about photographing in a public space, do you mean that there aren't any? If you're, even you can even photograph a police station if you're photographing a public place. So yeah, I assume you mean that there aren't any rules in a public place. But yeah, just joining us, Bob. Peter James Ingram. Must admit that I look well dodgy, so I was looking from behind a wall or something. I'm sure I would be arrested. Yeah, hiding behind a wall with a 400mm lens is probably going to get you in trouble, isn't it? Yeah, that's the thing. If you look dodgy, you're gonna attract. Especially, I always avoid anything to do with kids in pictures. There's no way unless they're an incredibly small part of the photograph and they're miles away. I'm very conscious of that because I don't want anybody's coming. I've got a little 7-month-old myself, so I would never want anybody taking a picture of them. And so, well, I suppose if I did take a picture and say, "Look, mate, I've just taken a picture of your kid. He was doing this, that, the other, whatever it was. Here's my card. I'll send you a copy. There's the photograph so you can see it, so it looks innocent enough." So transparency is key. Pardon the pun. Had to go. Gareth, you have a good attitude and sense of humour. I can see why you put people at ease. I'm really struggling to read this, and it's not the wine. I am struggling. I just can't read this writing. It's so difficult. Come for a session in 10B. I actually said, because I'm doing a talk in 10B Camera Club. Okay, that might be the one. In a few months, if it goes ahead. And I actually said to the person who booked me, I think it was a lady. I've got Alison in my mind. I don't know why. That if we get there early, we could do a bit of a photo walk before we do the thing, and that might be quite cool. Tenby in South Wales, Pembrokeshire, is a really cool fishing town. So it's good for landscape photography because it's got some beautiful sort of harbour areas and beautiful colourful buildings. But I reckon it'd be good for street photography, and I don't think I've never seen a street photograph taken there, so I'd like to go. Gareth Jones is with us. Hello, fellow Gareth. Good to see you, mate. Thanks for joining. This is better enough. Just press down. Oh, this is good. You guys are engaging with each other. This is fantastic. It's what we want. John says, primes for me. With regular use, you learn to compose for a particular focal length. Plus, they tend to be faster and better in low light situations. They do indeed, yeah. They do indeed. It's nice. It's just nice. It's nice to make. especially if you do it for a living. If you do, it's like if you do anything for a living, you've got to use the proper tools, don't you? And then if you do the hobby version of it as well, you don't have to use the proper tools. You could almost pull out a box brownie and go out and shoot with that, couldn't you? So it's nice in a way that you don't have to bring out like a massive 5D or 1DX Mark 15 or whatever it is, or, you know, a big Nikon D5 and a massive zoom lens. You can just bring out some bog standard. And if you get used to that tool, if you get used to how it works, because let's be honest, I've said this before, set it the right way, that camera, which is the brand new X100 Mark V or Mark 5, what you want to call it, with the dents, the limited edition, dented version. I bet I'm the only one in the world with a dent in that camera. That camera, focused exactly the same way as this, is no faster. There's no difference in the focusing speed between these two cameras, the way I shoot. Because obviously, if I'm pre-focused at f8 and infinity, they're both set instantly. There's no hunting, there's no trying to focus, there's no looking through the viewfinder and doing any of this. You know, if you know and you zone focus and you know exactly where your subject's going to be, it's literally just a case of getting it set right. So I think, well, I'm at 2 meters. Obviously, we want to do it with this lens. Well, so I'm at infinity. I'm just waiting for somebody to walk through that door. Bang, it's there. There's no focusing. There's no anything. It's already. I know I've taken control. I'm at f8. I'm at infinity. And then you go, okay, the next one, 3, 2, 1, there it is, bang. You know, there's no delay. And this camera, even though it's top of the range Fuji, got an amazing focusing system on it, is no faster work for street photography, because that's the same way I would be using this camera. It'd be pre-focused in the same way as the film camera would, and it'd be a 3, 2, 1, bang. You know, there's no difference. They're both set exactly the same way. So yeah, you can use anything. So where we are. Vocalicious, off subject slightly. What audio interface do you use? I just took delivery of a Rode Procaster today. Procaster, this is a, yes, this is a Rode Procaster. Oh, I see, that's what you're asking. You know it's the Procaster. It's not, it's just plugged into a Zoom H5, which I'm not sure if I can move. I'll try and move it. It's plugged into that. It's a Zoom H5. And then that just plugs straight into the, oh, that's still working. Is that still working? Oh, that's still working. That plugs straight then into the computer, and the computer finds it. So yeah, if that's what you're asking, I hope that's answered your question. Great mic though, really like it. Didn't work in the last video, annoyingly. Oh, Dan John's in Haverfordwest. Oh, that's not far from me. Jonathan Heffley, I just bought my first 70-200 and I'd like to try it out in street situations, but it feels like I'm walking around with a Canon, as in the gun. What advice could you give me? Don't. Me, Gary Goff, and my mate Dave Pearce did this in Manchester, and Dave didn't have, I don't think he had a prime or something. Dave, if you're watching this, let me know if you had a prime. I know you didn't use it. I know he was using like a 28-200 lens, and he ended up with a lot of his pictures being like a portrait. But he really liked the shots he got. He really enjoyed the pictures, and he knew that he could just zoom in and stand miles away. I think he might even been 400 mil. I think the lens was ridiculous. It wasn't 200 mil. I think it was more like 400 mil on his Nikon Z6. I think he had with us. So yeah, he cheated a bit, but the sort of shots that he got, if you check out David_Pearce_photography, I think it is, and in fact you'll see him in the video. If you look at my video for Manchester, you'll probably see the camera he's using in it. Yeah, you can do it, but you've definitely got to be more prepared for somebody to come up to you and say what you're doing, and then you've got to look more professional. You've got to look more official. You've got to look like you do this for a living, in my opinion. Because if you're standing there with a lens that can really pick people out, you need to almost have like a reason for doing it, because you look like you're there for a reason. So what is your reason? You don't legally have to have a reason, obviously, if you're public space. But you're going to attract more attention. You might even get mugged. I hope you don't. But yeah, you're more likely going to attract attention. Just be prepared for that. Is basically all I'd say. Yeah, don't go too close though, because I mean, 200 mil for street photography is far too much for me. I wouldn't want it. And I think what's important for street photography for me, where the 70mm part of it you get away with, but I wouldn't use past 70mm for street photography, because it's going to be less about the street and it's going to be more about the subject in it, unless you're going to be really lazy and sit in a coffee shop and just zoom in across the road. I don't know, and maybe you are. It's not a bad idea. But it needs to be, street photography for me needs to be less of a portrait, excuse me, and more about the surrounding area. So above 70mm you're going to struggle, but it can be done, because Dave did it. Can be done. Right. What I was going to say is, let me know if you guys have been in any bad situations. I'm trying to help you guys with dealing with problems with street photography. So if anybody's got a problem that they've faced, or a good situation that they've been in where they've found the confidence to go up to someone, let me know. Because obviously the key to all this is learning, isn't it? And making mistakes and hopefully getting away with it. But if anybody could share some examples of situations where they've been out and they've been doing some street photography, somebody's come up to them and said, how do you think you're doing? And then just let me know, and we can sort of learn from how we could have approached it differently, learn from how perhaps you, if you learn from it, or what happened, and we can just share that information. But there's going to be some people that have been out there and picked up the courage to go up to someone and said, or not picked up the courage to say something, but picked up the courage to take the shot, and then been confronted about it, and then the people that have come up to you say, well, do you mind me asking what you're doing? And they've turned out to be really nice people. They've looked at the picture, thought, you know what, I'd love a copy of that, or whatever, can you send me it? It's a great feeling. So let me know in the comments if anybody's had any sort of experiences like that, good or bad, because obviously we learn from both, don't we? What I'll say though is, I didn't mention before, but very, very important I find in street photography is to carry business cards, or to carry some sort of ID that you can give them, that if somebody does come up to you and say, what on earth are you doing? Show them the picture and they go, oh, that's pretty cool, I really like that. Well, do you want a copy? Here's my card, email me. And this is the file number, perhaps write the file number on the back of the card, and show willing. That instantly diffuses any problem, instantly. I've only ever had to do it about 5 or 6 times, but it'll see me offer my cards out. And if I see somebody, especially if I did a street portrait and it's intentionally going to be them, if they've let me take the picture for my video or something like that, then the least I can do is give them a copy. So get some really, really cheap business cards done. They don't care what quality they are. And it just means that they've got some tangible way of contacting you. So they say, hang on, some guy just took my picture. If you see my video, well, the Oxford Street photo walk I did recently, handed out about 3 or 4 cards in that. And the photo walk I did in London, which was called Last Minute Panic, I handed out a card to the guy at the very, very beginning of that video, who was dressed like a Russian, some mobster or something like that. And he wanted to know what we're doing, and because there was about 10 of us taking pictures, I said, well, here's my card, these are all with me, sort of thing. So, and I gave him the pictures as well, emailed him the pictures. No clue if I've ever seen them, but yeah, definitely a good idea. It just means that you've got that. It's kind of like a weapon. Somebody comes up to you and says, what are you doing? Oh, here's my card, my name's so and so, I'm just taking a picture of that. If you want a copy, you can have a copy. So just it's just a really, really good way to diffuse, because you have to remember, a lot of people are afraid of the unknown. They're afraid of, like, they don't know what you're doing. You know what you're doing because you're standing there intentionally taking a photograph, but they don't know what you're doing. So if you've got a card and say, here you go, take that, that's who I am, and this is what I'm doing, I'm a photographer, and brilliant. Instantly, they know what you are, they know what you're doing, they've got evidence of it, the confrontation's gone. Where have we got to? So that's Jonathan Heffley's question, that is, yeah. I hope I got to an answer eventually for you, mate. How was your first reaction when you were confronted by another person, and did you deal with the situation? That's from Samuel Isaac. I'll be honest and say, my first time I think I was confronted was probably in the Tate. And there was basically, if you've ever been the Tate, which is a gallery in London, a modern art gallery in London. It's really cool, actually. And there's a bridge that goes between the 2 buildings inside. And there was these 2 Chinese girls having a selfie, and they were leaning back over the balcony of the bridge. They were leaning right back, so their arms were up in the air holding the selfie stick, but their bodies were kind of like that shape. So you couldn't see their heads; you could only see the legs, and then the selfie stick going up in the air. So from where I was stood, probably about 5 meters away from them, I just took a quick snap, and it was really, really funny because I couldn't see their heads at all. I could just see the legs, and then a selfie stick, and an arm and a selfie stick. So I was looking at the picture, and I went to take another one, and they looked up at me, and she says, one of the girls said, excuse me, if you just take my picture. I says, I have, yeah. I says, it's really funny. Do you want to see it? She said, oh, no, delete it. It's like, all right, you don't even want to see it. No, delete. And she just walked off. She didn't even want to see me delete it. I just says, all right, okay. And, she went. So I was really quite frustrated, I suppose, because the picture was funny and it was like two girls bending backwards over that balcony. All you could see was two sets of legs and two sets of selfie sticks. It was a funny picture. I don't very often get the chance to get funny street photos. But the way that it was approached and the way that she kind of snapped at me a little bit and then walked off, it didn't bother me in the slightest. So I thought, well, delete it because my conscience is clear now. I've deleted the photograph. She can't really come up to me in a minute and say, did you delete that picture? I mean, look at her and lie. Do you know what I mean? If our paths crossed again in that gallery, my conscience was clear. So, and you can always recreate a photograph. Well, not recreate it, but you can always sort of try and get something similar again. No photograph really ever means that much, does it? I hope. But yeah, that was probably my first. I remember a guy, the first time I've sort of looked at a picture and I thought I actually got a telling off was in London when I took a picture of a guy in a restaurant, and that was in the video. What was that video called? That was with Dan, wasn't it? Oh no, that was with Jim. What was that called? Can't think now. And I didn't realise, because I knew he was going to kind of be looking at me. I knew he was going to be looking at me because he was in the restaurant window facing me. But I really liked this red frame that went around him, and then I liked the way that he was kind of framed in the black. It's hard to explain, and he had a white shirt on, so it stood out quite well. And I thought he framed quite well. So I was looking at the back of the camera, but I couldn't see the screen perfectly. So I was just making sure I got the frame right. And I was snapping away and I was filming it as well. And then I walked away and I was talking, and the guy I was with, Jim Garfield, a great photographer, said, oh, that guy was giving you proper evil looks. And I didn't know, because I had my camera sort of down here and I was trying to film with the GoPro or whatever I was trying to film with, and I didn't know. And I looked back at the picture and I zoomed in the OVF, in the EVF, I zoomed in to have a look at what the guy was doing, and he was staring really aggressively into the camera. And I was like, do you know what? If I'd have seen that, I was like, if I'd have had the camera to my eye, if I'd have seen that, probably would have been intimidated. I would have taken it anyway because I was already in the position to take it, if you know what I mean. But it was the first time I think I'll admit that I looked at a picture and thought, wow, this guy really is telling me off. And if he could have came out and said, what on earth do you think you do it? But I mean, he might have been in a bad mood or something. You never know, do you? But yeah, what else is that? I mean, obviously the security with Gary Goff when he was in Cardiff, we handled that wrong, though, to be honest. I think because the two of us sort of responded a bit too confrontational. I think we should have explained what we're doing, even though technically we don't feel like he had the right to say what he did. And he did interrupt the filming we were doing as well, which obviously made for good viewing for you guys afterwards, but it was rude. And 90% of the people that have given us feedback on it actually say that we were on public land, even though it's monitored by the security. He didn't actually have a right to do that. But I think that taught me that I was a bit embarrassed, especially because I was filming as well. I was a bit embarrassed the way I responded, and that was a lesson. Even though I was right, or doesn't matter. I as a professional, if somebody comes up to me as a professional photographer, obviously I've got that obligation to be polite, whether they're right or wrong, to try and tell you off. And I was a bit embarrassed of that. So that made me realise that if that happened again, there's no way I can respond that way. I just shouldn't have done it. I'm not blaming Gary Goff, but I wouldn't have. I don't think I'd have. Yeah, if I hadn't been mid-interview with somebody, I don't think I would have responded that way. But I did find it was rude. But no, since then it's all okay. So, yeah, mate, no worries. No, this is what we're doing, you know. And if I'm on private property, then just drop your guard straight away and say apologise and leave. But yeah. Funny thing was, though, on that is, again, when I was in Mark in Canary Wharf, it was just after there was a terrorist attack in London. It was the weekend after, so there was an extreme amount of undercover police and obvious police, uniformed police, and a lot of the normal G4S, whatever you call them, the normal security around the area. And we were walking around taking pictures, and I said to Mark, I said, look, to be honest with you, these guys are literally saving lives here. They're keeping us safe. There's a lot of undercover. Don't want to push my luck. So we went to another part of security of the sort of private complex. It's very, very, very beautiful. But if you haven't seen it, watch my video with professional street photographer Mark Fernley. So check out that video. It was a great day. But the guys that were coming up to us after were saying, like, you do know this is private property and you can't be here taking photographs, just so you know. What are you up to? And they just asked. And I said, oh, this is what the photograph I've just taken. And most of the time, the guys were like, "Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I like that. Oh, well done. Okay, well, just don't stay around too long then." And then you just walked off. You know, so communication. I mean, again, I pulled out a business card. Say, "Here you go. This is who I am." I've got one to hand. Let's see what I've got to hand. Yeah. So this is what I normally have. Just have my business card. Just says who I am, and obviously they can take that, and I've always got that with me. But the security are always polite. But as long as you're anticipating, if you can see security, regardless of whether you're a property or not, just sort of imagine if they come up to you, what would you say? You know, I mean, it's just easy then. As long as you stay polite and professional, I think it's easy then. Thoughts on Affinity, Stuart? No idea, actually, mate. I know I've got a few friends that love it, though, and I feel like I should give it a go. I always get worried about new software because I'm always having to do stuff for companies graphically and stuff like that, and they want me to use different, like, anyway, just new software. Just the idea of it, I just can't stand it. I remember when I started doing virtual tours a few years back, and I had to learn how to use PT GUI and all that sort of stuff. It's just, oh no, not new software again. And yeah, I just I suppose I'm old fashioned like that, but I probably would. I'm probably one of these people that if actually I had the time to sit and probably I've got the time now, and it's probably a good time to do it actually. So yeah, I think because there's a few parts to Affinity, isn't it? It's not just photography; it does design as well. If it's the one I'm thinking of, I need to give it a go, I think. It's Nova. Hi, my friend wants a shout out. Can you please say his name? It's Barry. Oh, here we go. Barry Cocknear? Is it McCocknear? McCocknear. I don't know. Sorry, Barry. I'll give you a shout out. I can't even say it. McCocknear, I think it is. No, I'm not going to say it the way that I think you want me to say it. Yeah. Gareth Jones. I've generally shot with an 85mm 1.8. When I shot Street, I bought a 24 to 105 just before the virus kicked off, so I'm not attempted to shoot Street with it yet. I think it may feel a bit imposing to subjects. 24 to 105. Yeah, I used to have that lens. It's phenomenal, great lens. Yeah, they are big, aren't they? They are big. But I suppose even with the 1.8, I'm thinking my Canon 1.8 was fairly big as well. I think mine was like 1.4 or something like that. That was a fairly big lens, especially if you've got the lens hood on it as well. And I just think you've got to be more prepared to for people to come up to you, more prepared for people to sort of say, "What are you doing?" Whereas with a little compact thing, you just look like a holiday maker taking a record shot. You know, it doesn't look anything. I think that's crucially the difference. And there's nothing wrong with using either lens, obviously, but it's just a case of, are you in the mood to go out and have anybody stack? Yeah, if I try to put a tripod in certain parts of London, I know that security are going to come over and say something to me. So if I'm going to do that and I need to get this photograph, I need to also be prepared for somebody to say, you can't do that, or fine mate, that's okay, I've already got a shot. But you know, you just have to expect it. I would have thought. Good grief, have I just jumped again? Have I just jumped? So annoying. So annoying. Saltex back. Hello, mate. Good to see you. It's so annoying. It just jumps on my messages, dude. Nicky Folks. Iridium X transformer is better with Fuji. It is, and you can get the. Are you on about the plugin that goes into Lightroom? No, it's the developer. That's the developer. Yeah, it is. I didn't like the transformer itself, the actual standalone software, but I did like the plugin. Actually, I'm wondering whether or not that's still working on mine because all the updates and stuff. I haven't seen it there for a long time, so I have to check that out actually. Oh, guys, I'm really sorry. It's just skipped past loads of comments. Right here, I think that's it now. Interesting. How often? Oh, I know you're asking John that. When I was shooting regularly, I got quite blasé about doing streets, but it's been a while since I've shot street with the size of a lens. I'm pretty nervous about using it on the street. yeah, it's like anything. If you're like, because I do photography every day normally. I used to when I was when we had jobs. It wouldn't be an issue for me to walk around with this. But this is kind of my walk around setup, and I wouldn't XT3 with a 16 to 55, and that wouldn't all day. That would be in my hand. Like if I do an event, or if I do product photography, or if I'm doing filming or whatever it is. So that would be in my hand all day. So that wouldn't bother me if every day I was walking around doing street photography, and I was like, it was more of a profession, and it was more serious. Like it was National Geographic photographer or something like that. That wouldn't bother me. But all I know is that I like the smaller, lighter camera, that sort of frees me up a little bit. So yeah, it's what you get used to, though, isn't it? It's what you get used to. I know a lot of people like the bigger cameras still. Oh, Unsung Hero says there are home kits for C41 development. Tetanol, yes, that's right. Yes, I found this out afterwards. Unless you want, no, one of my subscribers actually saved me once because of one of my videos. It's my end of year video last year. I used I borrowed my mate's ETRS camera, the Bronica, that thing there, and he already put the film in it. I thought it was a black and white, and obviously I'd done the video, and I needed to develop the photographs the following day, and I couldn't because it was actually a black and white, which I believe you develop in color using a color process. So I was saved by one of my subscribers that lives nearby. So I Roger, I think his name was. So I'm very grateful for him. I do need to do the C41 development though, so I've got that, so I can go out and shoot some color film. It would be fun. I shot SKSK. I shot film slide because there was no other choice. And yes, you're quite right. You have to think about your shot, especially when shooting slide. That's right. Slide photography. I've done once in my life for one commercial job, and yeah, you've got to get your exposures bang on with it. And I don't think I did at the time either. So yeah, it's a bit more of a skill again. And this is why photography is so good, because there's so many areas of it that you can explore. I can't see that anymore, so make sure my levels are all right. Who is Sarah? Who is Sarah Finley? That is, with street photography, act confident, act like you're supposed to be there, and most important, it's if you give off a friendly smile. Yeah, exactly right, make friends with subjects. Exactly right, exactly what I was saying. Like if I was shooting an event or a wedding or whatever it is, and I get there and it's my first day as a photographer, it's my first day with a new camera, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm going to look confident, I'm going to look shifty, I'm going to look nervous, and people are going to be saying like, who is that guy? And they'll say, oh, that's the photographer. I mean, really? Doesn't look like a photographer. And they're going to make that conclusion just based on how they read my body language, how they read my confidence levels, and how they read the way I'm sort of coming across to them from the other side of the room. People can do that. And if you walk in like not overconfident and over cocky, but if you walk in and you engage with people and you know what you're doing, you're concentrating on more so actually getting the decent photographs out of people, more so than faffing around with your camera. People are going to think you're more professional. They think, oh, this guy obviously knows what he's doing, I'll leave him to it. And as you say, if you get there and you know how to use your camera. So I mean, obviously we've all got this time to play around with cameras now and make sure that we know how to use the cameras, so that when we go out, we're not thinking, oh, what's the best setting for this, or what part of the exposure triangle should I be focusing on, pardon the pun. So yeah, if you know how to use your camera 100%, when you go out and you put yourself in the spot, look like you're supposed to be there. So like some street photographers actually stand in one spot the whole time, they won't move, because they know that's, I mean, yeah, like Times Square or something, you wouldn't struggle, would you? But they know that something's going to happen there. It's just a case of waiting for it. So they know when the light's good, they know where to be. And then by the time they've spent like half an hour, 2 hours or whatever there, they feel like they own the place. So they walk around completely confident. Like you're walking through their living room by this point, you know? So they've got that confidence that they're never going to be knocked. They're never going to say, what do you think you're doing taking my picture? Mate, I'll live it, move on, sort of thing. That's their attitude. It's going to be so confident. And they're going to look almost official. They're going to look like a press photographer. Yeah, I mean, if you've seen a press photographer, somebody dressed like a press photographer with one of them vests on with the pockets in and all that, and the funny hat, and and 10 cameras around his neck, you're not going to question what he's doing, because he looks like a press photographer. He looks like he's waiting for a celebrity to turn up, or he looks like he's photographing. I don't know what's happening now with this madness going on in the world. He looks like he's there with a purpose. and that you'll always look at it and say, oh, photographer there, what are you photographing? You know, as opposed to, excuse me, mate, what do you think you're doing? You know, he looks like he's supposed to be there, and that's crucial, and that's where I get my confidence from, because I know that if I look confident, people aren't going to sort of say, excuse me, mate, you were freaking me out. I'll tell you something funny, right? Every time I've done this live thing, and now this mic wasn't working in the last one, so it wouldn't have mattered if I hadn't had this here. But the last one and the first one, just as I ended the live chat, both of them, the clamp which holds it down fell off. Just as I pressed end stream, the clamp fell off. So I'm literally thinking, third time lucky, it's gonna happen during the film. So I'm a bit nervous about this mic just falling off because the clamp didn't want to stay on the end of the bench. I'm expecting that to go. Yeah. So cheers. Who is Seraphim? I'm really, it's frustrating with these names because you never know who people are, innit? His name could be Bob. I began my film photography with a Zenit E. All right, and then a Canon AE1. I think I might get a Canon AE1. It's one of the first auto Canons, wasn't it? With a aperture priority, I think, and a light meter and all that. Processing and printing with my own black and white photos. Such a great basis to my photography. It's so much easier now, and not a bad thing. But if you've got that background, I can't think what a Zenit is actually. I must have to look that up. If you've got that background and you go into Lightroom and you use Photoshop and you use dodge and burn or the sponge. A lot of people don't even know what dodge and burn even is. I mean, they know how to use it. They know what it is as far as Photoshop goes. But what is it? You know, what was the process like when these old school photographers used to use them? Ansel Adams used to he used to do loads of creative stuff on his photography with dodging and burning and stuff like that. And he used to cut shapes. So he was an artist at it. But like, if you look at it then, you'd think, what is he doing? He's always dodging and burning. You wouldn't know, would you? You wouldn't see what dodging and burning was as far as an analog a film term, just from using Photoshop. Do you shoot the majority of your street photography from the hip? No, absolutely not. I'm a bit concerned that with this camera now, because it's got a flip screen on the back, that I'm going to be using that more. Which is a good thing, I suppose, for the low-angle shots and for when you're on like a subway or something like that. But to be honest with you, I really enjoy having the camera to my eye. I enjoy looking through the viewfinder. I enjoy I just enjoy being able to see the histogram and everything clearly. Sometimes, if I know, as I was saying earlier, that if I know there's a shot coming up and I need to perhaps make eye contact and not, for whatever reason, not have the camera to my eye, or I really like getting things square, like walls and doorways and stuff like that. So to get something square with a 35mm equivalent, you've got to be quite bang on. So sometimes you have to be sort of waist height to get the shot bang on, depending on, you know, what it is and where you position yourself. So sometimes, yeah, you will have to have the camera bang on, have the camera like that. But if I'm like this, I can make sure that all my angles, all my verticals are vertical, because it really annoys me when I get back and I look at a street photograph and anything that should be vertical, like a doorway, isn't. It really annoys me, and I think that's the one bit of time that you should have spent on location that you can't really do. I mean, yeah, you can straighten things up in post and stuff, but it's nice to get it right, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, Ben, thanks, mate. Appreciate your Ben Novice. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for your feedback, mate. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's basically because everybody's going nuts, isn't there? I mean, I'm not feeling very creative at the minute, and I've got a couple of videos I want to put out for you guys, and I'm struggling a lot with the whole idea of not going to work and the whole idea of being locked in the house. And I know there's people around the world that can't get out of the house, and I just feel like now that we're all in isolation, I just feel like I can talk to you guys and just rant a bit, because yeah, it's good to talk about photography, and obviously we can't actually go out and do it. I mean, as I said earlier, I did have a go around the house. I mean, the things like this is good about street photography. This is like a picture of my son I took earlier today. And if it wasn't for my street photography, that is just him having we're outside in the garden, and just a reflection on the table. If it wasn't for my street photography, I wouldn't see things like that, I don't think. So it's great that I've got that string to my bow, because you can walk around the house and you can see light and you can see compositions that you wouldn't necessarily see if you were only, I don't know, a macro photographer, only a sports photographer or something like that. Maybe you would, I don't know, but you're more tuned in on it. So yeah. So where are we? DNN photography. DNN. I had an argument with a woman yesterday. She kicked off because she thought I took a picture. Funny thing is, I hadn't actually taken a picture. Even showed her, but she went home and spread hate on Facebook. How did you know she went on Facebook? Do you know her personally? Yeah. I've never had that. I don't think I've ever had. I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want to leave the situation. I don't like the idea of that. Somebody going away frustrated that I've taken a picture or something like that. So I definitely have to diffuse that. But how do you know she put it on Facebook? I assume you know her. But no, I wouldn't want that. But no, I mean, if you've showed the back of your camera and you've done it all you can, you say, look, I haven't. There's the pictures I've taken. Go through the pictures I've taken, and there'll be none of you in there. So just give her the. I wouldn't want that. It upsets you, doesn't it? John Fox says a good tip for anyone new to street photography or anyone who's not confident is to go somewhere full of tourists, i.e. Chester for my photography. I go to Chester for my photography. Sorry. Every other person has a camera. It is a good point. I mean, if you're in a touristy area, no one's going to look at you. I suppose they'd look at you more so if you had a massive 1DX or a great big, huge, I don't know, plate camera or something. But they're not going to. They're just going to say if you've got walking around with. I mean, yeah, something small like that, or no one's really going to bat an eye. You know, they just, like you said, just go somewhere where everybody's going to have a camera. It's a good point, actually. I mean, I always shy away from the touristy areas if I can, because I want to get like the people that should be living there and stuff. And well, I suppose that's not fair to say, but the people that are going to look better in pictures. And yeah, but it's a good idea, especially when you're on holiday, because you're going to walk around and everybody's going to be having, like I said, having a camera, and you're expected almost to have a camera, aren't you? I mean, I do street photography far easier than I would do a selfie with a selfie stick in public. I couldn't do that. So if you've got the confidence to be able to do a selfie stick in public, you're doing more than me. I can't do it. I can't stand the idea of it. Like I do a selfie with my phone, no problem. Selfie stick, no, just drives me the idea of it. So yeah, that was from John Fox. Cheers, John. Scott Poulter. Hi, Scott. Good. Thanks for joining us, mate. This is good. You guys are. Darren Knight photos back again. Cheers, Darren. Good to see you, mate. Darren Knight's on YouTube, isn't you, mate? Check out Darren Knight photography. He's a nice guy. Vladimir's deleted his message. Always intrigued. Twice, actually. I'm always intrigued when that happens. DNN photography. For me, street photography is about documenting and being able to express your art in how you compose and edit. It very much is, mate. Very much is. But yeah, there's a way. I think it's more about the way you do it. It's the way you approach it, and it's the way you kind of welcome. Some people have got that face that looks like you can always go up and ask them any question. You've got some really friendly, welcoming looking people, and then you've got them people that look like they're really always, no matter, even if they're in a good mood, you'll see them. They always play a villain in films. You know, they've got that look that they're never going to be friendly. Do you know what I mean? And do you know what? It's funny you just mentioned films. Do you know the actor Rufus Sewell played Adamar in one of my favourite films, which is A Knight's Tale? Well, Rufus Sewell actually has a house in South Wales. Obviously lives in Vegas or Hollywood or something. Hollywood A-lister, isn't he? And I've seen him in a place called Bosherston in Pembrokeshire. And I've seen the Leica. He was carrying a Leica Q. I think it was just a Q1 at the time. It's going back about 2 years ago. And I seen a guy carrying a Leica first. That's how sad I am. And I thought, oh, look, a Leica. And I looked up to see, well, I wonder if I know who the photographer is. And I looked up and I thought, no way, that's Rufus Sewell. If you don't know who Rufus Sewell is, Google A Knight's Tale with Heath Ledger, and you'll see he's the baddie in that. And I went over to him and said, Rufus, sorry, I didn't mean to be rude. Like, I just noticed your Leica first, and I had my little Fuji with me as well, so we got chatting about that. And the funny thing was, he always, every film I've pretty much seen him in, he plays a baddie in every film. But when I met him, annoyingly, he was the nicest guy you could meet. So I was like, it didn't feel like I'd met the same guy. It looked like a lookalike, but he was. I spoke to him for ages. We bumped into him down the beach and stuff 4 or 5 times, and he was a really, really nice guy. But it was annoying because when you see somebody so much, you think he's got such a sinister look about him. He looks like you couldn't approach him. He looks like it makes a good villain in his films and stuff. He doesn't look a friendly guy sometimes, but in real life, really, really friendly, really annoying. So like he came across as friendly and he looked friendly, and it was like, just shows how good these actors are, doesn't it? Yeah. But some people don't have that friendly face, and I think that is key when you're doing street photography. You look approachable, so you don't look like a villain. Don't look like you're there doing something intimidating. Oh, what's this? Who is Seraphin? The wife and I survived a mass shooting last June, so I needed something different in my photography afterwards to get my mind off things, and Street did it. The wife just didn't get the change at first. Wow, good grief, that's something. Is that? Oh, don't know if I dare ask, but good grief. I'm glad to hear you're okay. Anyway, that's incredible to hear. But yeah, I'm glad because it's a good creative outlet and gets your mind thinking about other things, isn't it? Street photography, it's amazing. So Scott Porter, yeah, well, glad you, Seraphin, whoever is Seraphin, I'm glad you and your wife are okay. You really do. I'm glad you still with us. Horrendous. Scott Porter, absolutely missing it. Streets are empty in Edinburgh, would make some awesome shots. Well, I wouldn't want the streets empty as such, because you can do that with a super stopper, can't you? You can put your camera on a tripod and do a 5-minute exposure. And I actually did a photograph in London of the Mermaid waterfall with, I can't remember if it's Tower Bridge or London Bridge, whichever it is, the background, and then you've got the Shard behind that. And because I did a 5-minute exposure there was no people in it. So you could do that. Pretty much, there was a ghost, I think, of one person who never moved. I just photoshopped them out. But you can do that. What I wanted to do was literally to document it as being what it is with the nastiness going around. I've got to be careful not to say the word, obviously. So yeah, I really want to go out and take some shots. I mean, I know that as soon as this is all over, people are going to still be cautious, and I think that I'll still be able to go down to London or Manchester or Liverpool or something like that. And there will be people wearing masks still. I just feel like I'm missing a massive, important part of history, especially for me, because obviously I like to document it with my YouTube channel. I just feel like I'm missing. I'm being legit. I'm trying to stay at home and do the right thing, but it's not easy. It's really not. Anyway, moving on. Sore subject. Any tips for this time? Joe 17 Digital. Yeah, stuck at home, don't know what to do. Any tips for this time? Just got into street photography. Bad times be getting into street photography, but I suppose it's a bad time. It's good because you've got the luxury of time. So you've got you can watch my videos for starters, all of them. You can research and you can plan and you can look for, not necessarily on Instagram, but you can look for other street photography books. Where's that book? This get books, and this is a fantastic book off Instagram. I don't know, off Instagram, off Amazon. And if you can get it delivered, if you can study what other people are doing first and look at what you like, look at what you don't like. But then what I've learned actually from that book was I looked at a few pictures that I don't like, and I thought, hang on, that's in a book saying Masters of Street Photography. So why? So I read the story about some of the pictures, and actually I was surprised that the photographer saw something in the shot that had either an emotional attachment or more of a story behind it. And with me, I try and take a photograph that's obvious. I don't really want the viewer to sort of think, oh, he took that because it's this time of year and the person's doing this and they shouldn't be, or they're wearing this. And I'm not really a clever person like that. And some of the pictures in that book are actually clever. And the artist that's done them is obviously a very, very deep thinker and goes around and responds to what he sees. And yeah, I was impressed. I didn't necessarily like the photographs, but what I did like was the fact that he'd actually seen this association with something. And I've been doing street photography only about a year now, or so, 14 months perhaps. So I'm no expert, but I love that you can learn so much from other people, as opposed to just saying, really like that shot, it's a guy walking through a doorway, or really like that shot, it's a guy that's, I don't know, just trips up on something, or just caught something, or just about to drop something, or whatever it is that's going on, or looks you know, whatever it's quirky about the shot that you like. But there's other ways of looking at it as well. There's so many ways that you can look at other people's work. Excuse me, and learn from it. And I think now that you've got the luxury of time just to sort of sit and say, well, what do I like? What don't I like? Look at the camera settings they use and think, well, why has he chosen camera settings? If you're new to photography, I don't know if you're new to photography, but if you're new to photography, look at the camera settings, look at the camera, work out why on the exposure triangle, why you would have used them settings, what's important. So you've got the luxury of being able to write down and plan and think, well, I really like this guy's work. His photography is consistently good. And what I like about it is, and not just I like it, because that doesn't teach you anything. If you look at something and you think, well, I really, really like that car. Why? Well, I like the color. I like the way it drives. I like it's got a boot, it's a big boot, or whatever, or it's sporty, or whatever it is. So you look at the photograph and you think, well, what is it about the photograph? It's not just obviously it's a good picture, but why? What is it so good? Or if you don't like a picture, why don't you like it? So you've got the luxury of that to actually do loads of research. And I would definitely recommend doing some research, especially if you research the old school photographers from like the 60s, 70s. There's so many. I mean, there's a YouTube video. It's about an hour and 10 minutes long. Can't think what it's called. It's an old documentary, and there's about 4 or 5 or maybe 6 really, really cool old school photographers, and you'll look at the pictures and you'll listen to the way they talk and what they see in their photography, and it's incredible. It's very, very inspiring. Why can you not say the word? Surely YouTube aren't trying to pretend it's not happening. I don't know, but I know that there's the monetization issue with YouTube is the problem with it. So, and I don't want to. There's an issue with the amount of staff that YouTube have got in a minute because of all this, and I know that they're just striking channels off and things like that. So I can't afford to risk it at the minute, because at the minute, if I do have an income coming from anything, it's probably from my YouTube channel at the minute, which is very, very scary because no one does YouTube for the money. Well, anyone other than Peter McKinnon, anyway. Morning from New Zealand, Vaughan Broderick. Good to see you, mate. Good to see you. Is Infinity FA your general setting? SK is asking. It is, and I'll tell you why it is. Obviously, if I'm doing a wedding, it's not. So with a wedding, you'd assess the scene. You'd look at what's going on in the scene. Is it important that everything's sharp front to back? No. You normally want to blur as much as possible or isolate the subject or whatever. But with street photography, I'm never. I know there are some street photographers that like to blur the foreground a lot, or like to isolate everything. And for me, I just want to keep everything as simple as possible. So if I know that f8 will work on a crop sensor, it's not too small an aperture that's going to put pressure on my shutter speed or pressure on my ISO. F8's a good f8 to f5.6. Obviously, f11 would be nice if it's bright enough. I know 500th of a second is sharp, is fast enough so that if anybody's walking towards me, if I'm walking, or if anybody does a run or a jump or falls, 500th of a second is going to get that. And then all I need to do is think about my ISO, because on the exposure triangle, you're always looking at what's important. And I think once you know with street photography, with your style of street photography, because obviously this is all different for different people shoot differently. But once you know what your style of street photography is, you'll sort of say, well, okay, what's important to me is depth of field. I want to tell a story. I want the full scene. I want everybody to be sharp front to back as much as possible. And I don't want to worry about focusing. I want everything to be sharp because I want people to be able to run and move and jump or whatever, dance if they needed to. Once you know those settings and you know that that's what you're going to be looking for in all your photographs, it means you're not using you're not thinking about the camera settings. And I just like that I can literally walk outside now to do street photography, and within 10 seconds, my camera's set up. In fact, 5 seconds. I can do it now. So like in here, obviously it's nowhere near as bright. So let's say f4. I'm not really going to get any sort of depth of field in a room like this, am I? But I want some ability to put somebody roughly, if somebody was to walk behind me now, I want to be able to sort of say, well, okay, I want to focus about 1 meter or 2 meters away from where I'm sitting now, and let's just get the shutter right. So I know that my shutter speed wants to be around about, but it's indoors, so let's go 250, and then just put the ISO. I'm guessing around about 4,000 ISO just to see. I'm actually bang on 4,000 ISO. So I know that. Oh, well, you can see that. Can you see the histogram? So no matter where I turn that camera, that histogram is absolutely fine. There's no fluctuation with the exposure. And I just like that if I thought, well, I want to wait for somebody, no one's going to watch in my office, obviously. If they did, I'd crap myself. But if I pre-focus now on the floor, put on manual focus, put on pre-focus down the middle of the floor, and somebody walked past me there, bang, it's ready to go. And I like that I can just get to a scene and think, well, okay, what's important? It's obviously a fastest shutter, so I can get like movement. And I know that because I can do that every time I go out and do a shoot, I haven't got to go out thinking, oh, what should I do today? F8 or F11 or F5.6 or F7.1 or X6? So I never have to think about that. All I'm looking for is the compositions. All I'm looking for is the photographs and the stories. And the quicker I can do that, and the quicker I can just forget about every other button other than the shutter button, the better. Obviously, that will change when you go indoors or you go into shade or if the light drops or whatever. But that's the way I shoot, because it's as if you were shooting with a film camera. Because I bet your bottom dollar, if you went out with a film camera like this one, which doesn't have anything auto on it at all, you would go, right, okay, bright outside, let's go F8, let's get a light meter, read exposed for the midtones, and that's put me on 500, and the ISO is on 800. So that's my exposure. I bet you would very, very rarely move anything, because you know that the settings are going to work for that. You'd be walking around looking for shots for that exposure. And that's just, it stops you thinking about your camera so much then. Unsung hero, are you ever tempted, for maybe you do it, to go out and shoot preset JPEGs for street? I'm sure the quality would be sufficient and it's like a no going back thing. Are you saying to shoot JPEG only? Because absolutely never. I would never shoot JPEG only. As much as I know that Fuji JPEGs are better than, I mean, they're amazing than you can get from Lightroom. I just don't like the idea of being restricted. And when you buy because Fuji doesn't know, with the best one in the world, Fuji's never going to know. No camera in the world is ever going to know what you're actually seeing. So the settings and everything, all the recipe, let's say, that's in the data for the JPEG is going to be restricted. It's going to be like just put there. Obviously, it's up to you whether you choose black and white or you choose a color like a classic chrome or whatever. But it's not going to know what the tones were, and it's never going to know how you saw the tones or what you intended. I know they've got incredible editing ability in the JPEG. I know they have. But then if you slightly clip something white and you want to bring it back a little bit, you can't. And yeah, I just don't feel there's any need for it really, because it's only file size that you're saving really, isn't it? It's only a JPEG is what, like 8 meg, and a compressed RAW is like 30 meg, depending on the ISO. But yeah, I'm more likely to shoot just RAW than just JPEG, if I'm honest. And I only shoot RAW plus JPEG so that if I, being honest, I still don't get on with the Fuji for file transfer into my phone, the JPEGs. It still does my head in, even on the X100V. But that is the only reason I would want to. And if I'm shooting RAW, I can actually turn it into a JPEG then and send it to my camera anyway. So, no. But thank you for the question. What wine are you drinking? I'm having a nice Chilean Malbec. No, we had a Chile Malbec actually. I think that was a Christmas bottle we opened recently. But no, this is a cheap plonk from Aldi, and it's a Rioja, and it's fantastic. And if you've got a wine, what do they call them now? Where you pour the wine through an aerator. You've got a wine aerator. This is an incredible wine. It's like £6 a bottle from Aldi, and obviously with Aldi prices, it's fantastic. We love it. It's absolutely addictive. But we don't drink it much because trying to be responsible. But it is a beautiful wine. I do like a Rioja. Chile Malbecs do sound nice though. Do you have a favourite location to do street photography? Anywhere that you're allowed to at the minute. I always find London very, very exciting. If I'm on the way to London, I'm excited. End of. I'm nervous, and that's something I've addressed in previous videos, I hope. But I'll tell you again, is that don't ever think that people go and do street photography and they're obviously excited, but most people are going to be nervous when they go and do. Even if you've done it 100 times, you're still going to be nervous to a degree, because even if you're nervous because you want to come back with decent photographs, you're going to be nervous to a degree. So anywhere that I'm going to get good light, good weather. Even the weather doesn't really bother me. Anywhere that's like got a mixture of modern and traditional buildings. So like London's really good because it's got lots of old buildings. If the light's right on some of the pillars, it's absolutely beautiful. But it's also got some really nice modern architecture for reflections or for strong lines or for nice clean environments. So yeah, London's got it all. Manchester was brilliant because of the art and how quirky the place was. I imagine Liverpool's going to be very good. I'm going to head there soon. But anywhere that's charismatic, like India or somebody suggested Kenya earlier. But anywhere there's people that's got charisma and charm and there's good light, I just think it happens everywhere. I mean, we're supposed to be in Ireland actually tomorrow. We're obviously not going. We're supposed to be in Ireland tomorrow, and we were going to do a couple of days in Dublin and a couple of days. We got my family are from Ireland, and we got a couple of days in County Meath in the middle, and then we're going to go to Galway. And I just find that because of all the music and the heritage for Ireland, that you know that you're going to go into some of these really old-fashioned original pubs that are like 500 million years old, and there's going to be a guy that looks 500 million years old playing a 500 million year old fiddle, and it's just going to be that sort of thing as well. So you just anywhere that's got good character, good charm, and yeah, Vietnam is high on my list. Cuba, absolutely. If I won the lottery, I'd probably go to Cuba tomorrow. That needs to happen. If anyone wants to meet me in Cuba for a photo walk. But yeah, anywhere that's got good light and good stories to be told. SSK, I use a 50mm equivalent on my Fuji, but on a Canon, I like a 16-35 to take in buildings too. I think with the building thing is good, and I've seen a few really good pictures, but it borders architectural photography then. And I think if the person's that small in it depends how big the building is, obviously. But if the building's massive, then and you're getting the whole thing in, the person's so small, it's more like you're taking an architectural photograph. And the issue with that I've got as well with the 16-35 architectural photographs, unless you're intentionally trying to get distortion, I think with 16-35 I'd be really careful with the building shots as well, because I like my verticals vertical, so I really would. I'd struggle with that lens as well. So yeah, I mean, unless you're doing, I don't know, it's a hard one, because if I do building shots, I'm probably doing a pano or something, or I've used a tilt shift on a few occasions, but yeah, helicopter. But yeah, SK, cheers for your message. Peter James Ingram, in Lightroom, is there a way of adjusting or adding depth of field? In Lightroom, that's a good question. Adding depth of field, if something's blurry, then no. If there's probably a way of adding like a grad or a brush to an area and then adding like a blur to it. I imagine that's relatively easily done, because you could probably do that pretty easily in Lightroom. I'd probably do it myself and mask it and put another layer in Photoshop. I know you can do layers in Lightroom now, can't you? But in Photoshop probably be more easy. But if something's blurry, if you want to add depth of field, I don't think you're going to be able to do that. I don't think. Because if something's blurry, it's blurry. You know, you're not going to get it back. So it's a good question, but I don't think so. What camera am I streaming with? Would you believe me if I said it was the one built into the MacBook Pro? Because I wanted to get the Fuji. I even emailed Fuji. I wanted to use this over there and do a proper stream off this, but there's like a £200 adapter you've got to buy, believe it or not, which is the size of this. This is a twin charger for the Fuji, and it's about that big. And obviously, I'm not going to get nothing. I'm spending any money in a minute. Yeah, but 200 quid worth of adapter, which I've got to plug in to get another camera to work, which is very frustrating. Yeah, so it's the one built into the laptop. Lisa Bradley, street photography makes me feel uncomfortable. Firstly, are you allowed to take photos of people? I wouldn't want someone to punch me, as I'm a female. I would definitely feel unsafe in my own. That's a valid point, obviously, about being safe on your own. I can pretty much guarantee you're not going to get punched. I'm sure you're a very pleasant lady, and if anybody came over and asked anything, I'm sure they're going to not punch you. I don't worry about that. But yeah, you are allowed to take people's pictures of people, but I'm going to be clear that in the UK, we're very lucky. We've got the ability to do that. There's no law preventing anybody to have their photograph taken as long as it's in a public space. If you're on private property, they've got the right to tell you not to, or if the area has been hired or whatever. But in parts of, like in Paris, they've actually got a legal right to say delete my picture otherwise. I think they could prosecute you or something. In Germany, I think it's illegal as well. Not illegal, but I think they have that legal right. It's not illegal to do street photography. It's obviously it's as long as you're on public property. They just have more protection as the public, if you will. So if you're taking a picture of someone and they say please delete my photograph, you're obliged to. But in the UK, absolutely not. Obviously you want to stay in a good mood, you want to stay happy, you want to enjoy the rest of your day. I mean, yeah, you if somebody comes up to you and say, oh, I'd rather you deleted it, it's always going to be better, because you can say, oh, sorry, man, nice to meet you anyway, have a good day, and walk away. You feel great. There's no confrontation whatsoever. But yeah, I certainly wouldn't worry about it. But yeah, go with someone else as well if you want. Come on, I don't know how local you are, Lisa, but come on a photo walk if you want, and we'll assess that. But yeah, I think it's one of these things that you're probably worried over nothing. It's probably one of the things that you'll go out and you'll do it and you think, Joe, I really enjoyed that. And I even got chatting to somebody who I took their picture and they loved my photograph. Because don't forget that if somebody comes over and sees the photograph you've taken and they say, oh, what do you mean you've just taken a street photograph? Can I see? And you show them and they go, that's really cool. Yeah, that's an instant compliment for you. You're going to enjoy that. So don't worry. But yeah, definitely go out with someone if you feel too vulnerable. I'm learning so much. I appreciate it, Mark. That's good. Happy to help, mate. Peter, if you're selling your street photos to a publication, would you have to get the people in the photos to sign any kind of document? Say, it's a grey area. As I understand it, technically yes, but it also depends on how the publication is going to be sold. So it's annoyingly, there's no right or wrong answer to this. The research I've done, it's sort of like if you were doing an exhibition and you had all your work on walls and people could buy them there and then no, you don't, right? Because you're not actually going out to make commercial gain from the photographs. You're just doing an exhibition and then selling them there and then. If you were going to go out and create a book and then you were going to do, like this book here, I bet I would be very surprised if every photographer in here has got permission of the people in there. So some people say yes, you do, but I don't see how it's possible, because the logistics of actually filling a form. Excuse me, I've just taken a picture of you walking across the road or running with your dog. They're going to be more annoyed that you've stopped them to fill in a form. You know what I mean? I don't see how it's enforceable. I'd like to know actually if it's ever been enforced. So if anybody's actually said that my book had to cease publication, or we had to recall all the books or whatever. Can't imagine how it's possible. But yeah, I think that the crux of it is if you commission me to go out and take a photograph of the street environment and people doing things on the street, and I'm going to make money from them photographs, I think you're supposed to get model releases from the people that are intentionally there. That's the way I understand it. But it's really not clear, and I pretty much guarantee that anyone that's going to publish a book that you ever produce is never going to ask that, especially if it was in the UK. But maybe it's something I'll come up against. I'd like to do a book at one point later on, obviously, when I've been doing it for a number of years. I'd like to look forward to doing a book of some sort. But it'll be interesting to see what sort of walls and hurdles to come up against. But it's such a grey area. I don't think there is an answer to it at the minute. It depends, again, how the book or how the pictures are being used, or how much maybe it's the quantity. If you just got like 100 books done and you're having an exhibition and somebody rocks up and says, can I buy a copy of the picture and your book, and there's no issue then. If your book's going to go worldwide, mass produced, maybe there's an issue there. But you would have intentionally gone out to do a picture. So I don't know. I just don't see how it's possible. But the books are being produced, so it doesn't make sense, does it? But thank you, Lisa, for the question. Peter James, what would you recommend for someone starting out with a printing own pictures max A3 color with a budget of around 350? I don't know if it will still work on your computer, but you can find out if an Epson R2400 will work on your computer, because I've got one. And I'm not going to sell it you. I've had it a long time, but even the newer version of that, I don't know what the one after that. I had mine about 12 years ago. It's a phenomenal printer, black and white, amazing, printed amazing black and whites. But I had to stop using it, and I bought the Pro 10S thing there, which I'm not really a huge fan of, because the RIP wouldn't work on my new computers. So none of the new computers will work with that old printer. So I've still got my old. Remember the floaty screen iMacs, the ones that the screens move around? It works for that still, but it doesn't work with any of my other computers. So, but A3, yeah, you should be able to do it. The Canons are very good. I think for that money, they're all the same, to be honest with you. I don't think under a grand, I don't think you see any difference with any printer. I think they're all the same. As long as it's got enough colours to give you proper colour. And if you want to print black and white, make sure it's got black and white, as in not just black and white, but it's got grayscale. Here's Brown. Hey, mate. Good to see you. Good to see you, mate. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. How many cameras do I have? Good grief. I have no idea. I've sold a load. I don't know. I've got a lot of junk as well. And boy, a lot of like cheap digital cameras and things like that you think are going to be handy, and they never are. So yeah, probably about 7 or 8 that I use on a regular basis. Probably had double that at one point. What would you recommend a newbie to look for, humans or architecture? In street photography, definitely humans, because you want to be drawn to the person. Because obviously with street photography, you have a person in there. So, for example, you could ruin a photograph by taking you've got this amazing building. If you were just looking at the building first, you had this amazing light, amazing composition, and the person that walked into the shop was like not dressed the way you would want them. They kind of ruined the picture because they looked a bit down or whatever. So I always start with the person first, because the most important part of the photograph is going to be the person. They're the one they are the story. The building really isn't the story. The building's like the environment, isn't it? So yeah, definitely look for the person. Marcel's Zwart. Is that Zwart? Is that what you say? Good evening, mate. Good to see you. Appreciate that, Alan. Pepsi hydration bot. Might ignore that one. Bob Browning's still working. Oh, it's good while you can, mate. It's good while you can. Shut down again. Sorry, guys. Good grief. Oh, mate. Good grief, there's loads. Oh, right, there we are. That's it. Then now it's back again. What is your personal definition of photography? Is post-processing photography to you? How much? Yeah. I mean, it's art, isn't it? So you decide when you put the paintbrush down. I mean, no one takes a photograph and then literally shows anyone the raw negative, do they? So, you know, photography stops. The creative part of photography stops when you tell it to. I mean, yeah, a lot of people are guilty of over processing, but how much post editing? It's good wine, this. It's too much. Well, I will do a video this week, hopefully, probably next week now, about my editing process, especially for street photography, because my photographs literally, I might spend the most time I'll spend editing the photograph is on the cropping, because I might decide that I've not got the composition quite right, but the actual editing side of it, I can select all my pictures and add the same profile and the same settings to all images, and then it's literally a case of tweaking the exposure. I don't really do, and then the crop. So I literally spend a minute or two per photograph max, literally max. I suppose it's because I'm used to editing weddings. But yeah, you can go nuts. Some people go nuts, don't they? Had someone tell me I needed to shoot a permit on the haze in Cardiff. The spot that me and Gary Goff had an issue. Played ignorant, apologised, he carried on 10 minutes later. Yeah, still, we never got to the bottom of that, whether or not you're allowed to there. But I mean, yeah, I mean, playing ignorant, playing a tourist card, playing whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. It goes against the grain for me, because I like to know where I stand and whether I'm right or wrong. I don't like the idea of being bullied. If somebody thinks that they're a job's worth or whatever, comes up and says you can't do this, I like to say, well, actually, mate, you can't do what you're doing and asking me to stop. So, yeah, I'd rather know whether or not I'm in the right or wrong there. But no, I know what you're saying. It's not a bad idea. What's the best DSLR that can fit in your pocket? Ryan Burnham. A DSLR depends how big your pocket is. I don't think you're going to get a DSLR in any pocket realistically, even with a pancake lens on it. I used to have a 5D Mark II or 3, and I used to put a 40mm f 2.8 pancake lens. That was very small, but still don't think it'd go in my pocket. DSLR. Oh, I tell you what. No. I was thinking there was some crop sensor Nikon that was particularly small, but no, there isn't. I don't think there is. Not one worth having, no, I wouldn't imagine anyway. The jumper, Tommy, I think it is, but yeah, we got an outlet store of Tommy Hilfiger not far from us, so we got quite a lot from there. So it's damn cheap. It's Nova was being rude. Right, okay. Yeah. Paul Bevan. You're the chap that came on the Bathwalk, aren't you? Paul Bevan Music. I remember you came on the Bathwalk. Yeah. David England video spotlights. It seems like looking down at the screen permits more candid shots. People are less guarded. I know. I don't know what it is about that. I don't know what it is about the idea of that. I just like looking through the. I think it's because I can see my settings better. Although obviously I preset my camera up, but I like to know that if the light has changed or if for whatever reason I've knocked a dial, or I just like to and getting things. I don't know. I suppose I'm old school like that. There's nothing wrong with obviously using the screen. The XT3 is great. I absolutely love being able to do that portrait. I absolutely love that. That's why I probably went to the XT4 because I love that. I do love the screens. Oh, grief. Right, okay. Well, I better get a move on these. And then, oh, she spread hate on the local community page. Doesn't sound like a very nice person. She's got the effort to. That's an effort to go through, though, isn't it? I mean, who on earth would do that? You probably met though. She was probably an extremely bad day. I don't know. I'm always too self-conscious to do street photography. That's from David Arkanoid Gilbert. If that's you as a person, that's different. But I mean, if you can walk around without your camera and just stand there and use your eye and just find compositions, find the subject, find the image just with your eye, and you go 3, 2, 1, blink, and then that would have been the shot. In a way, you're still doing street photography. You've not got anything to show for it. But if you're just using your eye, the day that you do get the confidence to pick up the camera, you're going to be walking around flying because you've already got that experience. So there's nothing to say that you can't go out doing street photography just without a camera, if that makes any sense. I know that sounds silly in the way that you won't have anything to show for it. You might not learn any lessons technically because you've not made a mistake as far as settings go. But your eye is the thing that most people struggle with anyway. So if you can still walk around going, I love street photography, but I haven't got the confidence to actually pick up a camera, but I don't mind walking around a town and saying, oh, that'd be nice in 3, 2, 1 now. And as long as you can still see that, it's really, really important. So it's, yeah. So there's nothing wrong with having no confidence. Self-conscious though, self-conscious. Yeah. Is it something you can improve on, the self-conscious part of it? It's a shame. Paula Bevan. Paul A. Bevan, sorry. Paula Bevan, I think it is. Drove through London today. It was really odd. No traffic. I saw lots of shots as I was driving. Well, you can't pull over in London and just jump out and go. with your camera, can you? Not a chance. Your car won't be there. The Leica Q would be my favourite camera, but I will settle for the X100V from Simon Barnes. I think I'd go for the V over the Q. In honesty, I mean, obviously I would have bought a Q1 if I wanted one by now, but I just don't know I don't know what it is about Leica. Something, the digital ones don't seem to grab me yet, and I don't know what it is about them. I think if they bought out the digital monochrome does that does sound exciting, not the price, but I don't like the idea of being labelled as well. It's like if I won the lottery and I went out and bought a Ferrari, I wouldn't want everybody calling me they might do anyway, but I wouldn't want everybody calling me a prat because I'm driving around in the car of my dreams, sort of thing. And I don't want people to think, oh, you're showing off because he's driving his Ferrari. And it's the same with the Leica. It's like, it's got that stigma behind it. And I worry that, you know, I do want one. I will own one. I'll have to buy like an M6 film Leica at some point. And I'll probably never sell it. Probably something that my son will inherit or whatever. But the digital ones, they don't grab me. I'd love to shoot. I mean, I've got a friend, Craig Pitts, who works in Bristol, I think it is. And he's offered to let me, because he works in a camera shop, he's offered to let me use a Q, like a Q2, I think it was. So I know it's going to be an amazing camera, but just something about them don't really jump out at me yet. Simon says, I too feel like I'm missing out on documenting this time an issue, but saving lives, staying at home is so much more important. It is, you're right, it is. It's a hard pill to swallow, and hopefully we'll still be able to get out and do some similar shots when the band, or when we got our freedom back. But to me, I think the idea of with being a photographer, you've got this luxury that people don't necessarily have. People who aren't photographers don't have the superpower that we have, in that we see the beauty in the world, and that we see the idea of staying at home on a nice day as absolute waste of life. So I just feel like having more wings clipped right now is just like goes against the grain, as I'm sure most photographers, most explorers, most outdoorsy people do. And it's just such nice weather at the minute as well. It's agony. But yes, very, very valid point, Simon. We've got to stay at home and help the NHS as much as possible, because they're doing a phenomenal job. And if anybody other than, I know Dan was watching this earlier, if any of you guys are in the NHS, then obviously have my absolute huge thanks and sympathy as well for what you guys are going through. If anybody's watching this that's in the NHS, so thank you from me personally. You are allowed to exercise every day. Nobody said you couldn't take your camera with you, did they? No, exactly right. And this is a conversation I had with somebody who put on Facebook that photography is banned in the UK for the foreseeable future, because exactly right. You can walk around with your camera. I mean, I've got woodlands. I'm really, really lucky. I've got woodlands that are about a 10-minute walk away. No one said that how far, or I don't think anybody said how far you can walk. So as long as I go to woodlands where no one's ever likely to go, I don't see any reason why I couldn't do sunrise through the woodlands. And if I, you know, I mean, you're going to see people if you go to Lidl's or Aldi or Tesco, and you stand in, you see these queues a mile long outside Tesco where there's 10,000 people there. And how is that allowed? Oh yeah, they're 2 meters apart, but seriously, if you go to the woods, you're not going to see anyone here. So, and I feel sorry if anybody that's watching this has got a dog, a big dog on these big walks. So I feel sorry for them. My heart goes out, because the dogs need their big exercise, don't they? It's horrible. So if someone clocks me taking their photograph, I stay in place pretending I'm waiting for them to pass so I can take the picture. They then think I wasn't photographing them. Exactly right, mate. It's a technique I use myself, and then you just pretend to be looking past them and look behind them, you know. Yeah, we discussed that. I watched your tutorial on histograms and the camera settings this morning. Really good, really helpful. I'm learning loads from people like you, so big thank you. Oh, thank you, mate. Jonosh. No, I'm going to stop. Can you guys have names like Bob and Steve? And all? I can't say that. Sorry, mate. Jonosh Shen, I think that is. Yeah, appreciate the feedback, mate. That's good. The histogram one's an important video. If you don't know how to use a histogram, check that out. It's an important thing to learn. But I don't know how good a job I did it explaining it. So appreciate that feedback. I'm glad you learned from my videos as well. Steve Fizz, hi Gareth, good to see you again. Sometimes I feel guilty and can't bring myself to take the shot. Feel guilty? Well, that's interesting. I saw a load of people queuing outside the supermarket, but bottled it, just me. That's interesting. Why you feel guilty? Because I feel like we're kind of obligated to a degree at the minute, because this is all history. Right? We're living in an age now, in a period now, whereas kids in school 50 years time are going to be saying, what year was everybody told to cancel their lives and all that sort of thing due to this. So I think that I mean, obviously it's on the news, I get that, and the media are covering it left, right, and centre. But I think street photography is going to be always going to be such an important part of our lives, everybody's life, forever. They don't even realise how important street photography is. And actually, I did see either an Instagram or Facebook video just using clips of attempts at street photography during the what's happening now outbreak, and I just felt that the pictures didn't really do it justice, and I was like really frustrated that I could have done so much more with that given the opportunity. And I just think that if in years to come people are going to watch back and those are the photographs they're going to see, those are the attempts at this isolation, you know, that we're going to be reminded, like in 50 years time, these are the photographs that the people took then. It's just going to be so frustrating. So I haven't really seen anything yet that sort of sums up what's going on, and it's so annoying, it's so frustrating. I'm not saying I'm, you know, built for the job necessarily. I'm just saying I want to do my best. I want to go and, you know, obviously be safe, but I want to. But obviously it can't happen, so please no hate. Yeah, I don't blame you for bottling, mate, because it, you know, I don't blame you. Can't blame you. Our series asks, what is the fear of street photography? It's the fear of being able to do it. It's the fear of it's almost like, you know, it's almost like a phobia, isn't it? Because it can't harm you. So it's the fear of being told off. Ben Norris tried Manchester a couple of months ago and just pretended I wasn't shooting them and stayed in the same place, sight lights. So like you say, exactly right. Just stay there. Just anchor down. Just get used to being there and just let people walk past you and just ignore them until they're in the place that you want them to be. Wedding photography didn't stress you at all. That's interesting. Wedding photography I'd find more stressful than street photography, but I suppose because you, like I said, you feel like you're there for a reason. I'm a beginner photographer. What camera do you recommend? Any camera. Any camera can do street photography. Your phone can do street photography. An old film camera can do street photography. So any camera, just the best camera you can have is the camera you'll learn and understand how to use and learn everything about its limits, its restrictions, what it can do, what it can't do. Get a prime lens. Just get a lens that doesn't zoom. So if you're new to photography, that's a lens that's a fixed focal length that doesn't zoom. And then just use basic settings, set your camera at once, and that's it. Just put it on full auto. Actually, just put it on full auto and just go out and enjoy it. Just go out and enjoy taking pictures as opposed to worrying about camera settings. And then when they didn't come out, you can look at the settings and say that's blurry because, or get somebody to help you if you don't know. That's blurry because the settings are this. So at least then you're learning. There's no point going straight in with the settings being handed to you because you won't learn. I use my X100 and XE2. XE2, I had that camera for a while. I did really love that camera. Flipping light from memory. That was a really light camera. Very, very nice. Like a miniature. It was about that sort of size, wasn't it? It's about that sort of size, I think, from memory. I did like that. 16 meg. Cute little cameras. Ben Norris, hi Isis. Just me too. Just got my first camera a week before all this happened. Thank goodness for YouTube guys like Gareth. Oh well, happy to help guys if I can. Happy to help. If you love London, you should come to Brighton. It's got everything. Yeah, I've never been to Brighton. It's down the south coast, isn't it? That would be a good one actually, because I could do some landscape photography down there as well. So it's good party life as well, isn't it? Down Brighton, it's supposed to be good fun. Do a walk about in Liverpool when things do. Yeah, we will do a walk in London, in Liverpool, definitely. Looking forward to it because it's obviously got a lot of history there, a lot of quirky buildings, and yeah, it'll be good. My nan lives in Cuba. I'll ask if she wants a lodger for a week or so. Australia has some great locations, but the people look so daggy, so not good for street photography. Is that daggy? Never heard of daggy. People look so daggy. I suppose if you say it with the accent, it works. Yeah, you've got to get the right person, especially if it's a silhouette or something like that. It's important. I suppose they were wearing shorts or something. I don't know. But yeah, it's Australia would be good, but I would have to be there in the cooler weather because I couldn't walk I mean, you can walk 10 to 20 miles on a street photo walk. You know, you do some distance. So yeah, Ireland is great for landscapes too when it's not pouring with rain. Yes, Ireland has got the west coast of Ireland is high on my list to visit actually. I'm going to meet up with Stephen Hanna hopefully if I get out there. He's another YouTuber, really nice guy, lives out on the coast there, so that would be really good. It does rain a lot though, doesn't it? I did go there once, and I was on the west coast though, and it was beautiful blue sky. I was there to photograph a wedding, and honestly, you wouldn't have believed you were in Ireland because the coast was so clear, the water was so still, and everything was just, yeah. The other side of that was America. It was incredible. Yeah, very beautiful place though. It's got to be beautiful if it's going to rain like Wales. Australia is better for landscape photography. I imagine it is. It's got some amazing opportunities there. Some vids. Good evening. Somebody's giving us the chatbot numbers. Oh, hang on, that's me. It'd be funny if I just checked my ticket and legged it now. My wish list of places is growing by the day. Yeah. Well, goes. Hi, Gareth and everyone. Oh, it's just gone again. I'm doing well when I was pressing down, and it was just what calibration software, if any, do you use to ensure what you see on the screen replicates the finished print? Wine allowing. An MB Pro. I've never heard of an MB Pro. I've got something. Screen calibration. I don't know what it's called. I don't know how quick I can see it. Oh, it's this. Whatever that is. I've got that. I've never used it though. I used to have a Spider, but I left it on an office. I was setting other people's screen up, and I left my Spider at another one. I never used it, so I was never going to buy the expensive one again. So I just got that. I think Julian gave me that actually. I've never used it though. Where are we? Yeah. So that was from SK. Enjoying it, mate. Cheers, best picks. Appreciate it, mate. What are my views on paparazzi? Good question. I'm not one, and I never could be. I actually got a mate, Alistair, who used to be paparazzi, going back to the days when Princess Diana was around, and he used to. Obviously, he wasn't one of the ones that used to chase her around, but that was his main job then, and obviously hoping for the photograph that was going to pay off their mortgage, you know. But it's a different skill altogether. Obviously, they've got to know it's the dedication and the patience, and I don't know. Certainly, running around after people outside courtrooms, I couldn't do that. But it's a different skill, and I think I'm always impressed with how they manage to photograph through glass, like when it's tinted glass, and they always get them great photographs with the flash right by the glass. It's obviously all pre-metered and pre-exposed, but I just am pre-focused. But I find that all fascinating how they do that. But yeah, I could never do it. It's a different. I'm not sure if it's photography, but if you're watching this and you actually do it, I'm not. I don't mean any offence. Martin Robert Sean did an interview with Solicitor. Yes, he did. I don't think he did though. I don't think he explained it though. I know what you're saying. He did do a video on it, but it was clear as mud to me. It just did not make sense, Martin. I watched the video, and it was just. It basically. I think he agreed with what I'm saying, but I still don't think it was any clearer in that video. Best will intended. It's still as clear as mud to me. And I spoke to a few other people about that video afterwards, and just to see if I understood it wrong, but I didn't find it very decisive at all. So that was just me that I didn't take it. Soft video of cheese and onion crisps. Cheese and onion actually, smelly feet flavoured crisps. This wine is doing the job actually. I only had like one glass, and I thought, yeah, that'll be all right. But we won't go over 3 hours. I don't think. Otherwise, I'll be talking. If I finish that glass, I'll be talking for Wales. Good grief for so many people. I've been reading through these comments a lot where you guys like chatting to each other, but rubs the law in the faces of people while he's taking the shot. That is not the way to go. Clavash, yeah. I mean, I did have it. I did have that piece of paper actually printed in one of my bags, and it was this bag, the Pro Tactic, but I don't think it's in there now. And it's not something you're ever going to do, is it? Because you don't want to look confrontational if you're going to have that law printed in your hand. Yes, I know if you go to the right place and you're speaking to security and they're being pracked over it, then you can do it. But to be honest with you, I think it's just not the route I'd ever want to go. And I've always taught my way out of it before I needed to do that anyway. So yeah, I wouldn't do that myself either. But you can get that information relatively easily. Pentax KP and pancake lens plus big pocket. That's right. I'm going to walk around my village tomorrow in Hampshire. It's a stunning place. I've got an excuse to take my dog for a walk. I don't think you need an excuse. You're allowed to go out and walk. I mean, there's people going to work. There's people driving around, going to supermarkets daily just for the excuse to get out of the house and using it as a social. So I don't think you need an excuse. I don't think it's not worth going back to St. and coming back with a virus. Well, no, and you can be carrying the virus, and I mean, like me, my girlfriend, and all our family are completely healthy and everything, but it doesn't affect everybody. You can still give it to somebody. Yeah. Getting to the woodland will be good for your well-being. Right now, mate, I think it absolutely would. Absolutely would, Simon. I'm going a bit nuts. Yeah, Joe Frankel, clap for the NHS. Thanks, mate. It was good actually. Outside of our back garden, we could see all the people clapping, or hear all the people clapping at 8 o'clock last night. So it was very, very emotional. It's good. So we're incredibly lucky to have the NHS. So yeah, hope they know how much we're grateful. I've been enjoying your live videos. It wouldn't it be cool if Fuji brought out a mono only camera? Actually, yeah, because I actually didn't understand why you would buy a mono only camera, and I did a bit of research as to why that is. And because you've got an RGB pixel, that one pixel is divided into 3 colors, which you effectively don't need. Excuse me. Apparently, the detail and the clarity and the just the overall look of a single color camera, single color sensor, is supposed to be a huge improvement. So obviously, I love the black and whites that come out of Fuji. So I absolutely love them. So I wouldn't really want any improvement there anyway, because I'm really happy with the way I shoot and the files I get. And obviously, just having the ability to shoot color if I wanted to as well as anyway. But I'd love to see what the difference is to shoot with a black and white only camera. But maybe not a Leica, because I just feel like I'll be too precious with the camera. That was one of the reasons for not getting a Leica, because I just don't want to. Now that this has got a dent in it, trust me, right? That was upsetting for about 30 seconds. You see that? Now it's got a dent in it, and no other scratches actually, but it just means I can relax with it. If I bought a Leica, I'd just be so paranoid. It's like having a Rolex in it. I'd never wear it, or an expensive watch. It'd just never be warm. Hunter, Steve. Oh, Stephen. Is that Algie? Is it Stephen Algie? Algie. Yeah, from Hunter Valley, Australia. It's mad, isn't it? How the internet brings people together. People all over the world. You're looking for a few reasons. A cab driver, still working. I can still practice my photography, but most of my jobs are taking NH staff home. Well, that's a very, very good. I'm good to hear that, because there's a lot of cabbies around by me that are just taking people shopping, and they've got like a car full. And I don't think that's very fair on a taxi driver, because obviously they're not 2 meters away. And so, yeah, the health and safety aspects of that, they're literally, everybody's local around here, so they can always walk. And they don't have to take the whole family, do they? Yeah, poor taxi drivers. So, yeah, good for you, mate. Good for you shipping the NHS stuff back and forwards, because around London and stuff, they don't have cars, do they? So. We got to the end of it now. We've got to the end of core talk now. AP Photo says Nikon FE2 was his first camera. I wish I could say it was my first camera. It'd be really cool camera to say it was your first camera. My first camera was my dad bought me a Minolta Dynax 700 or something it was called. He bought that second hand off my uncle. But my first camera that I actually bought was That was an Minolta as well, a 7000 or something like that. That was an older camera, but because we had the other one nicked, so I bought the 7000. I really like that camera. And then after that, I bought the digital Minolta, the 7HI, I think it was called, 7HI, the 5HI or something like that. 7HI, I think it was. So yeah, I didn't really have. I only had two. I had a Nikon D65 film camera as well, but I didn't really have anything older than that. I don't think, anyway. An FM3A. What's the A bit stand for? So I've got auto mode on it as well or something. I don't like film cameras that have got auto modes on them. There's a few film cameras I like to buy that have got auto modes on them, and I just shied away from it because I like the fact that they've got this can work without a battery in it. You know, I mean, this it doesn't have anything electric. There's nothing auto. It's fully manual. There's literally nothing electric in it at all. So something about that. Oh, there's a load of comments. I'm going to Tesco where a lady dresses as a dinosaur with a face mask. It's weird but funny seeing it. But it's funny to see a dinosaur pushing a Tesco trolley. How do you know this? I mean, you say you're going to Tesco. If you do get that picture, make sure you tag me in it because I want to see that. It'd be flipping hilarious. Video it as well because that would be funny. Anything to protect their face, I guess, isn't it? Street photography is a documentary on the life we live at any one time. Definitely right, Bob. Definitely right. Very important in years to come. Oh crap! It's gone past me again. When we get back on the streets, this is from Delborough. It's going to be a great time to take photos. I live in London, and where they set us free to mix again, we are going to be out. Yeah, there's there will be a massive celebration. It's going to be really, really exciting. Really looking forward to it myself. And it's a real looking forward to it actually because yeah, sounds like a way away, yeah, but it's going to be epic. I'm really looking forward to it. I think the funny thing is we'll have all had weeks off work, and then by the time we're actually allowed to be free, sort of thing, we're all going to have like a week off work just so we can go wherever we want. But yeah, the last thing I'm going to do is when we're allowed to go back to work is go to work. I'm just going to get a plane anywhere. Well, so that's probably not a good idea because they'll probably restrict that for the next 20 years, won't they? A big delay on the stream. Oh, right. I hope that's your end, not my end. Simon Barnes asks, can I ask which school Gary Goff went to? We grew up in the same town. He looks familiar. I will ask for him, Simon. I will ask. I know he was in his dad's from, what's that place now? His dad's just outside Cardiff, between Cardiff and Newport. It'll come to me now where his dad's from. But yeah, we'll do. Evening, Liam Gordon. Good to see you, mate. You keep looking. Well, it'll be up. It'll be up afterwards anyway, mate. So you can watch it from the beginning. I'm sure we're 2.5 hours now, so we'll have to wrap it up pretty soon. What time is it? It's 10 o'clock. We're in unflagging. That might be the wine as well, but I do enjoy doing them, mate. I do, and it's good because I'm struggling to do creative stuff at the minute because I'm finding all this isolation thing very, very, very difficult because I'm very, very much an extrovert and I like being out doing stuff. So yeah, I'm enjoying doing this because I can just talk. Whereas if I actually tried to put if I tried to do a really, really nice product photo shoot or something there, I'd just struggle because of the way things are at the minute. So this is nice because we can just sit here and talk about it, and it's distracting for a couple of hours, isn't it? That's why we're doing it, just so we can. I'm not sure if I'll continue doing the live streams after all this is done because I don't know. We'll see. Well, certainly not twice a week anyway. But oh, crap, that was close, wasn't it? It's gone down again. I still think the XT range is the best camera ergonomically to use. It feels so good in the hand. Depends. For me, I completely agree with you. But I mean, I know the thing is with photography and with cameras is you get used to the tools. It's really important to get you wouldn't want to go from Canon to Nikon to Sony to Fuji to Olympus to Sony to Canon to, you just wouldn't enjoy it because you'd be constantly learning. Your muscle memory would be changing, and there's always something on a camera you're not going to like. But I do admit that I like having my exposure triangle straight in front of me, everything straight on the camera. I really, really do enjoy that. So yeah, for me, definitely, I don't think I'll come away from Fuji now. I said that before, didn't I? They don't eat my words one of these days. But yeah, cheers, Simon. You have to do the shopping runs as well, yeah. Well, you've got to do what you got to do, mate. In fact, I set up a Facebook group in my local community because there's a lot of old people that live in the area, in the country, and I set up a Facebook group for people that couldn't, for whatever reason. And I set it up about a month ago, 3 weeks ago, and yesterday I actually I put a note on there saying, well, somebody put a note on there saying, oh, the kids are in isolation, they're in isolation, the kids are poorly or whatever, they can't go and get bread and milk. So I went and did a bit of a whip round for a few people as well. So yeah, it's a good feeling to help people out, and obviously without the excuse of getting out of the house as well, I go nuts. So yeah. An OM2 for a first camera. I think I'd like an OM2. You know what? There's a funny story about the OM2 because they were going to call it the M2, but because Leica had the name M2, they forced them to put an O at the beginning of it. But right until, I mean literally right until they were going to dispatch these cameras, I think they had to recall or not send them out at the last minute to put the O on the beginning of the M2 because it was going to be called an Olympus M2 from a reputable, knowledgeable camera buff I was speaking to recently. It's quite an interesting story, that. I'm getting a few Instagram messages coming through, so I wonder if that's anyone tagging me in their pictures I've been doing this week. My daughter videos her in the shop wearing the dinosaur outfit. She works. I see. Well, you got to tag me in one of them or send me one of them videos. That would be funny. She's obviously going there just to pick people's spirits up, isn't she? Because that is funny to see. That is good. I love people like that. Kerry Morgan, late to the party, but any plans to do any at-home photography vlogs like water splash? I don't know if I like the whole water splash thing. I don't know what it is about it. I'd like to have a go at it, but I don't know what you're trying to achieve. Do you know what I mean? I'd like to have a go at it. I'm probably being a bit, I don't know, maybe I will. Obviously all you need is a flash and just to time it right, don't you? I don't know. I'll give it a go. I think I've seen a photograph of a balloon popping. That looked cool. I might give that a go one day. And in fact, I was going to buy Pluto triggers a couple of years ago, and I wish I had now. It would have been ideal. I probably would never have used it, but until now, and that would have been really cool to burst a balloon and have the yeah, I'll get you, Kerry, and to have a go at the bursting balloon. But I think once you've seen the image, you've seen it, and once you've taken it, you've taken it. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure, because obviously it's got to be a fast shutter speed. You're obviously manually focusing. You're obviously exposing for the flash. So I don't know. I'll have to have a look. I'll give it some thought. What's this? The photo notes up there. Oh, Cumbran, you are right, Simon. It was Cumbran. Yeah. Right. Okay. So you put Cumbran up. It must be a hell of a round trip to do the photo notes. Well, yeah, it is. But we're supposed to have met in the middle in Birmingham or something last time, but we couldn't find anywhere last minute. The location we had wouldn't have worked. So yeah, I just ended up doing the extra 2 hours to Manchester again, or to wherever Gary is, to film the extra photo notes. So, but yeah, yeah. Photo notes is an interesting one. It's good. It's good to get together. Good to listen to other people's opinions and everything like that. But yeah, we'll have to see. Bruce Gilden should do street photography around Poundland. That's funny. I'd like to see that. I must admit, that would be funny. Get some characters in there, and yeah, because he does like the characters as well. He's the guy, if you're not familiar, he's the guy that goes up to people and then flashes in their faces with his camera really close to them. So when's your next one of these? What is that, Ben, you're talking about? I'm not sure what you mean. Yeah, that would be funny. So yeah, he flashes really close. Do you still use a Sony? Very, very little now, to be honest with you. Where is it? Yeah, I haven't used it for ages, to be honest with you. I'd love to sell it, but it's just that it's too expensive to keep, really. But it's at the same time, it's that camera that I know that, I mean, if I bought the XH1 or the XT4, then maybe, but I know that being a full frame camera, the ISO is better. I know that the focusing is better. The focusing on the Sony doesn't really miss. It's just that it's got a few bugs at the minute that just peeing me off quite considerably, and it just seems to be that I just can't fix the menu problem with it. Back button focus basically isn't working properly on it, and the shutter keeps sticking, so it's not taking photographs. And it's, yeah, once the camera starts doing that, I lose all faith in it, because obviously I need to use it for work. So yeah, I'd love to sell the Sony, but the Fuji just misses focus a bit too much for me. So as much as I really do like the Fuji for everything, things like the bride walking down the aisle, and sometimes when I've got a track in low light, I just don't trust the Fuji. It says it locks on, and then you look at the shot and it's not sharp, and the Sony just doesn't miss. Sony's like, yeah. Anyone do photography with a 4 megapixel camera? Well, you can no reason why you couldn't do photography with a 4 megapixel camera. No reason at all. I remember I got a decent camera. I remember it being a long time ago, and I thought it was 5 megapixels or something, but I was really, really proud of that, thinking 5 megapixel was epic, and you could print A3 or something like that. You know, if exposed right, you never know. You never know. You should be able to. I'm not saying you're going to put it on a billboard or anything like that, but why not? You get the exposure right. Rick Moore's just joined. Another great chat. Appreciate it, Gareth. Well, it's just, it's either this or sit in front of the news listening to that nonsense. And in fact, I called it nonsense before I got told off. Apologies. And yeah, I'm very good sitting in front of films all the time. So I'd rather chat to you guys, and hopefully we can have a bit of a laugh and distraction from this. So that's the idea. But yeah, appreciate your feedback. Oh, Dan's got a few. DNN, I keep going to say Dan has got a couple of ideas when he does his stay at home. I mean, I've got a flash gun. If you've got a flash gun and you've got an off-camera sync, have I got it handy? No, it's not in the camera bag. Then yeah, you can do some creative stuff with like when it's dark, turn every light off, and stick the flash behind a person and stuff like that. You can create different effects with just one flash, and put the flash on really, really low and just create like a halo around someone, that sort of stuff. So you can still create cool effects from home, and you use the available light, like as I said earlier, and I'll show you again for the guys that just joined. I mean, the available light that was coming through the window earlier. So I got a picture of the missus and Ellis standing in available light because it was a nice sunset. I haven't actually been through these pictures, so I don't even know if they're any good. But yeah, just there's no reason why you can't just. That's a nice one. I quite like that. See that? Yeah, it's just the available light coming through the window with the sunset, and so you can still get some nice shots. And I think being forced to stay in, obviously I have to not think about it too much because I find it very, very difficult. But this makes you appreciate what's around you, and you start looking for light, you start looking for shadows, you start looking for tones. If you've got enough space and you've got like family, you can do some portraits. You've got the luxury of being able to move the flash around to different places, try different settings, try some really, really high key stuff. And you've got no pressure. You've got no reason why you need to get it right, because you've got all this. It's a blessing in a way because you've got that luxury. But yeah. But yeah, do let me know, DNN, tag me in some of the pictures. If you get any pictures you like, I'd be interested to see what pictures you get and you like. Graham Schroeder, is that? I think you might be enjoying street photography in the Rocks area in Sydney. Oh, Rocks area in Sydney, okay. So Sydney's going to be massive in it, so it's going to have... I'm sure Sydney's phenomenal. Have you a planning trip to Sydney? If so, you should plan to come join the Vivid Light Festival. Now, this is interesting. This is what I love about my YouTube channel, because I learn things like this. I've never heard of it. Now, Mrs. has been to Sydney because her sister lived there for 2 years, so she probably know this. So yeah, that would be something like a festival would be absolutely right up my street. All that colour and all that sort of happiness and liveliness and light and just all that energy that you can capture, just with everybody smiling in a great mood. And yeah, opposite it now. I'd love to. Right now, I'd love to photograph that, mate. I can promise you. I know your favourite is Fuji, but if you had to choose between Canon and Sony, would you go for Canon? Canon. I know Fuji's Sony's the better camera, but I just don't enjoy using them. I know how good the Sony is, but it's just I just don't. I know some people like disagree with me massively. I've got friends who love their Sonys, but I just don't. The menus, the Canon's great. I mean, I shot professionally Canon for about, I'd say 14 years, because I've shot professionally with Fuji for about 6 years now. So yeah, getting on for 20 years. So say 13, 14 years with the Canon, and I never had an issue with it. I'll tell you what I did, because I used to hate the focusing on it. I used to hate the ISO on it and stuff like that. And the tracking. I remember photographing a catwalk fashion show once, and the lady was coming towards me, and even on servo it just wouldn't track at all, and it was pretty decent light as well, and it was just and I had these guys with Nikons next to me, just weren't struggling whatsoever. So that was one of the things that used to drive me nuts about my Canon. But I didn't want to leave Canon. I only left Canon because I used to film concerts, photograph concerts and piano concerts and stuff, so I'd have a microphone in the piano, which was probably that H5 there, and then I'd have a video camera next to it, and then my Canon would be walking around going, so the audio would pick that up. So I had to get mirrorless just for that. That is the reason I left Canon and went to Fuji for the silent shooting. Worldwide Ghost depends on the sensor as well. I'm not sure what the first part of that statement was, but you're right, it does depend on sensor. Have I seen the documentary about Vivian Maya? I've seen a bit of it. Yeah, it's a phenomenal story. Actually, Vivian Maya was kind of undiscovered, wasn't she? And very, very much like a fly on the wall sort of thing. So yeah, very, very. If you're an introvert, she's a bit of an icon, a role model. Miss the days when film was king. Film still could be king. It's up to you. You can decide what you want. It's just film's expensive now. That's the only thing. You can still do film now. No reason why you can't. Nothing beats the smell of the darkroom. I disagree there. I can't stand it. I hated it. Smell of fix, man. No. This stuff I've got now, Ilfosol developer, is not as bad as I remember, because I can do that in my office here, and it doesn't smell the house out. Man, I hated darkroom. I did photography at college for 3 years, and I didn't enjoy the film. It was just before digital came out, because I remember they just got a digital camera the year we left. It was this little Sony 1.3 megapixel thing. It's more like a video camera than a camera, but it was we did a lot of film, and I just didn't get on with it. I enjoyed the enlarger part of it, but that was about it. DNN comes from my family vlog channel with my daughter, stands for Dad and Neve. Dad and Neve. Oh, right, that's cool. So you're the guy. I did watch a bit of your video today from the taxi. I think it was your channel I watched. You sent me a link on Instagram or something. I did watch a bit of it. And it looks like you're driving around with a camera on your lap. I did mean to leave a comment actually, but I had to run out because my Karis's dad was sort of doing something with the digger, and it looked like he was going to fall down, I think. So yeah. What else we got? Sign bars again. Very nice. iMovie. Don't know what iMovie question mark is, but no, I never used iMovie. This is cool. You guys are interacting as well. And 1DS was great. It's built like a brick. I never had one. I never owned one. I always regret it. There was a time when I was thinking about buying one, and then it just ended up just not seeing the justification for the bigger body. But I always had 5D with the battery grip on the bottom, because I had photography studios, and I used to drop the camera on the floor quite a lot too. I used to have like the lens hood on the lens like that, but it was a really wide lens hood, and I used to just allow it to bang on the floor and then the grip underneath it just to protect the camera. But I did really much prefer the bigger body of the 1D. So I feel like, do you know what I've seen? I seen one for sale for about 450 quid today, and I can't remember which one it was, but just thought how important it would be to have something like that on my shelf, you know, just so I've got one. But I imagine it was built like Popeyes, except for the tattoo. Yeah. I don't think I'll shoot an entire wedding with them. I know Gary's just killed his and dropped it in the water or something like that. So Gary Goff's just killed his 1DX. Right, yeah, you can't see doors. There's a lot of that about, mate. I'm sure you'll see her soon. But yeah, got to do what you got to do. Keep everybody safe, and yeah. Oh, Ben Novice is hitting the sack. What time is it? Yeah, we'll give it 10 minutes. Could be the Mark II. I think it was the Mark II, yeah. I also seen the Nikon a D4 in Command cameras a couple of weeks ago when I went. It was the day I picked this up, and they had a Nikon D4S, I think it was, and it didn't have a battery in it, and it didn't have a lens on it, just the body. And I've never even held one, although I've always sort of adored them. Completely impractical and unjustified for me, but I picked it up, and although it didn't have a battery and lens on it, I said to the guys, like, you could hold it with 2 fingers. Consider it was like that big. I couldn't believe how light it was. I was really surprised. Obviously without a lens, without a battery, but I was just like, that's incredible how they make them so light, and the size and how durable they were. So yeah. D3 bodies are cheap now. What are they? 12 megapixels as well. Incredible cameras. Like, they're iconic cameras. Are very much a collector's item, I imagine, if you get a good one. But yeah. So anyway, if you guys, I'll wrap up now. Still 40 people watching this. Still 40 people. I will wrap up now. I think I just want to make sure that, you know, I mean, obviously, if you've not watched it from the beginning, you watch it. Obviously, it's nice to have a chat and stuff like that. But it's really important that you guys that I could help a few people that were struggling to going out and do street photography, because obviously if you've got confidence, it's easy to do. If you've got ballsy and you don't mind people coming up to you, it's easy to do. But for those that, I mean, I think street photography is dead important and everybody should have a go. And the idea that somebody's afraid to do it because their confidence is just like frustrating. And I'd love people to people to have a go and, you know, pick up their confidence and stuff like that. So I do hope the videos, the chat, should I say, has helped. But yeah, if you do want to support the channel, obviously I'll mention the Patreon account as well. Obviously my channel's never going to be about any obligation for sponsorship or anything like that. But if anybody wants to help the channel out, I'd much appreciate it. Just jump onto Patreon. I'll put a link in the bottom. And if you guys are interested in some editing videos or help one-to-one sort of thing, want to improve your editing or just have a chat about how to improve your photography individually, then drop me an email. We can sort that out as well. We'll see if we can do another video soon. I will wrap up now though. If there aren't any, yeah, you're welcome. Oh, Dave Pierce, that'd be ridiculous. You're just joining now, Dave. That's typical. Yeah, well, now Dave's here, we can all go. Simon, I'd just like to say thank you for taking the time and take our minds away from what's going on in the world right now. That's very kind of you. Yeah. Cheers, guys. I appreciate it. It's good. You're a little community, and I'll speak to you soon. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you watching. Have a good evening.